baby. They say that I'm crazy. I'm just another Jekyll and Hyde, faithless baby, idle and lazy. Truth or fiction are the only two sides, and I'll rise from the shadows, grow towards the light. I know I love you, baby. Sleep well tonight. Just sinking low, just sinking shoreline. High time to get the hell out of Dodge, with more ebbs and flows, more hardships and lean time. This is no life for my anthem and sludge, and I'll rise from the shadows and grow towards the light. I know and love you, baby. Sleep well tonight. At dawn I'll meet you and we'll saddle out into the great blue yonder and tough. Now you lie there, my baby, peaceful and happy. And no, it's just as it seems, just as it's crazy. Everything's rosy, though it's far from the end. It justifies the means, and I'll rise from the shadows, go towards the light. I know and love you, baby. You slept well that night. I rose from the shadows, I embraced the light. Now you know and now you know and now you know and love me, baby. No more required. You walk into the room with your pencil in your hand. You see somebody naked and you say, who is that man? You try so hard, but you just don't understand just what you're gonna say when you get home. Something is happening, but you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. John? You raise up your head and you ask, is this where it is? And somebody points to you and says, it's his. And you say, what's mine? And somebody else says, well, what is? And you say, oh my God, am I here all alone? something is happening, but you don't know what it is. Do you? Yes, you don't. You hang in your ticket, and you go watch the geek. He immediately walks up to you when he hears you speak. He says, how does it feel to be such a freak? And you say impossible as he hands you a bone. But something is happening, but you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? You've had many contacts among the lumberjacks who can get you back when someone attacks your imagination. Nobody has any respect anyway. They already expect you to just give a check to tax deductible charity organization. You've been with the professors and they've all liked your looks. With great lawyers you've discussed lepers and crows. You've been through all of that Scott Fitzgerald books. Now you are very well read. It's well known. Well, something is happening and you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? Well, a sword swallower, he comes up to you and then he kneels. He crosses himself and then he clicks his high heel. Without further notice, he asks you how it feels, and he says, here's your throat back, thanks for the loan. Something is happening and you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? Not a one-eyed midget, he's shouting word now. And you say for what reason, and he says, how? You say what this means, and he screams back, you're a cow. Please give me some love, or else go home. Something is happening and you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? Well, you walk into the room like a camel and then you frown. You put your eyes in your pocket and your nose to the ground. There ought to be a law against you coming around, but you should be made to wear earphones. Something is happening and you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? Something is happening and you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? I give thee all, I can no more, though poor the offering be. My heart and lute are all the store that I can give to thee. A lute whose gentle song reveals the soul of love full well, and better for a heart that feels much more than lute can tell. Though love and song may fail, alas, to keep life's clouds away, at least we'll make them lighter pass, or gild them if they stay. And even if care at moments flings a discord o'er life's happy strain, oh, let love but gently touch the strings, 'twill all be sweet again. Oh, let love but gently touch the strings, 'twill all be sweet again. Greetings, friends. How are you doing? All well, I hope. Yeah, let me just see. I said I'd come on and do a hangout tonight, and let me just go through the songs briefly. The first song was just, well, for Steve, it's Steve's Flat Earth. It's the children's Flat Earth, right? So we're getting to the truth, and the beautiful children deserve nothing less. This is what we've all got to stand up for, and we've got to fight against all the lies and deception. And when you think about it, it's overwhelming, the amount of lies that, well, I guess we're allowing our children to be fed, right? We had sort of no choice in it. I was thinking today about, you know, from the very outset of my life, we've just been lied to, we've been categorized, we have been played for fools in one sense at every hand's turn by everybody in perceived authority. Well, that all stops now. You are the authority. So Steve, it is Steve's Flat Earth, my beautiful son's Flat Earth, and it's all of our Flat Earth, right? So it's time to take the truth back and take the reins back, and stop the rot, if you will. So that was a song I wrote years and years ago for Steve. I'm not sure what that didn't sound. None of those songs sounded quite right to my ear. Maybe it's because I just sort of retuned the guitar according to 432 tuning on YouTube. Here you can easily get that, so maybe that's what it counts, but it didn't sort of seem quite right to my ear, or my singing didn't seem quite right, but that's okay anyway. We're just singing a song. So that was To My Beautiful Steve, the first song, Rise from the Shadows. To go towards the light. I've sort of come to think differently about what light is, or what light may be, and maybe we shouldn't be so quick to go towards the light. Just to take a step back and ask ourselves what the light is. Maybe the dark needs to be investigated a little bit more for certain, but the idea is the same anyway. I must have wrote that maybe, geez, my son is 16 now, coming up on 16. So when he was like 1 or 0 or something, like, you know. When we were separated from the very start. So it's, you know, just a continual story of my life really in that separation. So that was for Steve. I won't dwell too long on that. I'll go on to the second song, A Ballad of a Thin Man. I sang that before as well. It's a great song. Steve, me and Stevie love that one. And well, it's only after years of hearing it that I really it sort of clicked what it was about. It didn't really click in my own brain. I read it somewhere, and it was just someone's theory. The minute they mentioned that, I said, for fuck's sake, that's what it's exactly what it's about. A thin man is your penis, right? So when you see it in that sense, it's all every reference is exactly that. It's this sort of, he's after stepping into this circus, and yeah, it's all about dicks and sex, and you know, I guess that's maybe a big theme in Hollywood, right? So whatever the story is there. And who is Mr. Jones? I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on Mr. Jones. Who is this Mr. Jones character? He pops up again and again. I'm saying Quincy Jones, the Hollywood producer. We're talking about this sort of sexual undertones here that, you know, we've all heard the stories about the pedophilia, the underbelly of Hollywood. How true is it? You know, what part did the Jews play in all of this? I mean, these are things that are conspiracies that are fed to us, right? So we really got to be careful, step back, and try not to jump in with 2 feet. But yeah, this certainly seems to be this sort of exposure, if you will, of the freak show that, you know, maybe goes on behind the scenes, or not even behind the scenes, in these sort of circles, in the circles of fame, if you will. What would you give for it? How much is your soul worth? I guess in one sense, you know. Well, let me go through it briefly, just to show you when you think about it. In that context, that's exactly what's been said. You walk into the room with your pencil in your hand, right? You see somebody naked and you say, "Who is that man?" And you try so hard, but you don't understand just what you will say when you get home, because something is happening here. You don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones, right? There's always like pointing the finger at this Mr. Jones character. You raise up your head and you ask, "Is this where it is?" And somebody says to you, "It's his." And you say, "What's mine?" And somebody else says, "Well, what is?" And you say, "Oh my God, am I here all alone?" But something has happened, you don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones? It's like you're asking the host of the party, what is going on? So whoever this Mr. Jones' character, but I think there's more to it than that as well. We have Davy Jones as Locker. Counting Crows sang about Mr. Jones as well. So Mr. Jones is another character that keeps popping up like the Rain Man, right? You hand in your ticket and you go watch the geek. I haven't heard that word. I was broke into a laugh when I sang it. You go watch the geek. You're a geek. Not a word we use particularly growing up. There's a quite funny sound to it. Who immediately walks up to you when he hears you speak and says, "How does it feel to be such a freak?" And you say, "Impossible," as he hands you a bone, right? A boner. And something is happening, but you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? You had many contacts. I probably sang it a bit low as well. Oh, it doesn't matter, but I probably could have gone. Yeah, that's probably better. You're ticking. Yeah, that would have been better. Key upwards in F sharp or something, F sharp minor. I sang in E minor. You have many contacts among the lumberjacks. Yeah, we talked about lumberjacks before. Lumberjacks responsible for cutting down timber. We have their Jack, all work, no play, makes Jack a dull boy. Jack L, Michael Jackson. So Jack of Spades, the Black Jack, 21. So lumberjacks, yeah. I think a lot of people know exactly what's happening in our true history. And well, lumberjacks and the felling of trees, I think, plays a massive part in everything. You have many contacts among the lumberjacks to get you facts when someone attacks your imagination. Nobody has any respect. Anyway, they already expect you to give a check to tax-deductible charity organizations. You reference to the Freemasons there, you know, who are so kind and good, you know, because they support so many charity organizations. Meanwhile, by 2020, they're telling our children now 1 in 2 will get cancer. So are you prepared? Will you take cancer insurance now? You know? No, the insurance will be just to cater for your extra bills and stuff like that. You know, nothing else. Yeah. You've been with the professors, and fuck professors. Professors, my arse. You know, again, I just have sort of, it's like a disgust I have now at this stage for these people, any of these people in in professed authority. It's almost a disgust. They're just playing their part in line to my son, and then taking my son's precious time and precious mind and shitting all over it. For the most part, I say for the most part, but yeah, again, it's an institutional sort of thing. So these people are cogs in the wheel. Each individual mightn't be bad, but yeah, they're playing their part in keeping the whole disgusting system in place. The system of deception and lies. So yeah, with great lawyers, there we go again. You have discussed lepers and crooks. You've been through all of F. Scott Fitzgerald's books, very into sort of homosexuality, as far as I am aware, but not too sure about that. You're very well read, it's well known, but something, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck if you're well read these days? You know what I mean? Who gives a fuck? I was listening to a little bit of the after story with all the ballers. Apparently, Jaron, I didn't see that part. Jaron was on with someone called Amon Ra, having a debate, throwback fucking 3 years ago, right? And it didn't go too well, but they were all just chatting away amongst themselves afterwards. And it's just disgust at this stage. These fucking bunch of liars, sort of wallowing in sort of praising one another, how intelligent you are, all this sort of stuff, how smart you are, how well read you are. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. One thing you'll notice about all of these baller antagonists who keep coming back, you don't see their faces. You do with some of them, and that is a plus in their favor, right? The people who do show their faces or give a name. But for the majority, no, you're dealing with a faceless, nameless, coward for the most part, because if you have the strength of your convictions and you believe so strongly in all of this, and you're coming along ridiculing and mocking someone else for their journey into truth, show your fucking face. Show your fucking face. Is this guy? What's his name? Let me bring up his name actually, and I'll challenge him. If you're in the chat, Fred. Sorry, I shouldn't. I won't sort of say anything. But let me just get the name. Fred Jones. Ha! Fuck off. Fred Jones. Fred Jones. Let me just read out his commentary. So Fred Jones, if you want to come in here and ask me anything you like, let's have a debate. Let's have a little discussion about the shape of the earth. Let's see how big your cojones are. You don't have to show your face, right? You don't have to give your name even. Let's just come in and let's see how good you are. Let's see if you can stand up to the dodo, a fool like me. Let me just read a comment you gave. I couldn't think of a bigger, so I asked him, he's leaving comments in the chat asking me about what distances are there from the North Center on a flat earth to the equator, all this sort of stuff. I don't give a fuck. It's not relevant to me. I moved beyond that, right? I don't need, I know the earth isn't a spinning ball, and I know that the story given to us is a pile of nonsense, even though it is loaded with lots of different pieces of information which can help us decode the true earth, shape and nature of the earth. But let me just go in here and read a few of his. It's just, again, typical. And I politely said I'm not interested in going back rehashing the same thing again. I've already left the ball earth behind in that sense. So I'm not interested in that sort of stuff. But as I said, you're welcome to come in and have a chat about it and see how that might go for you. I don't think it would go too well for you, man. I can defeat any baller adherent very easily at this stage. I don't give a shit who it is. Bring on the best professors. Bring on anybody. The one thing I'll be looking for is your genuineness in this. Is this the position you hold in the true scientific sense? Are you open to persuasion? Are you open to furthering your thinking or changing your mind completely? And if you are, then you won't be able to deny certain evidences that I would bring forth anyway, or certain questions. But just let me just read out a few of Fred Jones's, and his name is Mr. Jones. Maybe that subconsciously or subliminally affected my choice of the song Ballad of a Thin Man and Mr. Jones, but not really as well. As I say, I sang it because we used, like me and Steve used like listening to it. And anyway, this Fred Jones in all his bravado says this guy's a proven nutcase, folks. Flat Earth is for the mentally challenged, uneducated, and it's a conspiracy mentally ill, looking for a simple idea they can understand. To do yourself a favor, learn basic physics and astronomy to understand how reality works. And as a bonus, you will be equipped with knowledge to do your own observations, proving flat Earth to be complete trash. So who knows who this character is behind the facade. Nonsense as well, as if there's no such thing as a conspiracy, right? When it turns out that every fucking thing is a conspiracy. Absolutely everything is a conspiracy. Learn basic physics and astronomy. Well, I'm after discovering that Aristarchus is the source of everything. So all of your fucking astronomy and all of your star system and all of your infinite space and vast swathes of time and numbers of stars and of enormous size and magnitude is bollocks. It's out the window. It's nonsense. And you're a disciple. You're a religious zealot is all you are. And as I say, yeah, I'm after discovering Aristarchus is responsible for everything, for the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, everything, which are all light shows, reflected, fractal light emanations, I guess, against a contoured, watery, mirror-like barrier. This is what we're looking at. This is why it behaves in such a regular fashion. This is how all the stars move together in complete unison, is because that's exactly what you're looking at, right? You're looking at a light show being projected and fractal. There's more to it than that, but that's basically the truth of the matter. And as I say, Aristarchus is everything, friends. Yeah. Aristarchus is everything. I won't go into too much detail about that, but one thing I'm absolutely certain on is, should you take the ideas seriously, you will come to the same conclusion yourself. This is an individual's journey at the end of the day, and I'm pretty sure people like Fred Jones here, and a lot of these returning bowler antagonists know about Aristarchus. I'm pretty sure they do. I for one have found many different clues presented to us throughout many different media, pointing towards Aristarchus. So I think these people, being insiders, returning insiders, who are unswayable, right? I've never heard them entertain a new idea. Never heard them change their position on anything. And from early doors, that told me I'm not dealing with above board people here. I'm dealing with people playing a part, right? And as I say, just looking in at that hangout last night, it's just, I wouldn't stay too long, but it was childish. It was disgusting in one sense, because there is so much real fucking suffering. Excuse me, there is so much real suffering going on, and these people are there, lapping it up, promoting one another, filleting one another almost, and what's their role? I think there's a big military connection with all of this. But we won't get too impassioned about these strangers, right? But let me just say, my response to that was another brave, faceless one who has all the answers is Fred. He can't think beyond his brainwashing with no courage of his convictions. You ain't welcome here, Freddy. Beat it with your ball. Which might sound a bit harsh, but I mean, I said it before, nice and polite. Look, I'm not interested. I take it that for the most part, the measurements are equivalent, but there's always a but. The north center is not what we're taught, it's not a point that you can go to. There is a barrier. It's beyond the barrier. So how big it is beyond that barrier, who knows, right? So again, there are certain unknowns, and I don't need to go in there. I just said I wasn't interested in going back over these things again. What I would do is go forward, and I have gone forward. As I say, the Oculus, the flat Earth map, the true flat Earth layout, the Oculus, it's all scaled up and everything for us. The simplest jigsaw piece you'll almost ever do once you have the right keys, right? This is the flat Earth layout, but there's more to it than that. We're dealing with sort of a fractal reality. Aristarchus expresses in Earth as well. Earth is it's a big realm. Well, there's no other way we can put it. We can't understand it. We can't understand what's going on here. We have no context, right? The context that we did use has been taken away from us, and that is the traditional scientific model of life, the universe, and everything. That's gone. That's gone. So now there is no normal, right? There is no backdrop with which we can sort of compare everything and gauge everything. So yeah, we're stepped into a completely new realm, and I'm fine with that. I really am fine with that, and I'm really fine as well with understanding that even though we can know a lot, we can know. For instance, you can prove to yourself that Aristarchus is all there is on the moon. You can prove that to yourself. You can absolutely prove that to yourself. And I've proven that to myself again and again. Probably haven't done a great job proving it to the masses out there, but that's not what this is about. As we can see, this arena is absolutely, completely and fully controlled, absolutely in every sense. And yeah, I'm first of all on doing these hangouts for myself. I learned so much by speaking out, just voicing my thoughts, and that's the primary sort of motivation here. I have come a long way, and I think everything is for a reason. But yeah, I realize it is the individual's journey. So I haven't spent too much time and effort sort of trying to prove categorically things one way or another, because it's been a continuous journey. But yeah, this is the idea. Well, we are divine. We are part of the everything. So it's within us to know the nature of our home, the nature of our condition now in this limited state. It is within us, and there's no one can tell us the truth. We glean the truth ourselves. So this is the ultimate point. But yeah, as I say, I'm very happy that, you know, if you look at the moon in the right sense, now that you know that all there is one crater being repeated again and again and again, just being viewed from slightly different angles, different magnifications, etc. Yeah, then you'll be able to put all the pieces together. And when you do, you'll be able to see the symmetry in the moon, the reflected nature of it, the repeating mirroring that's going on in the moon. You said the different magnifications. Yet you'll realize you can prove that for yourself. So yeah, that's what I said to Fred. Beat it with your ball. And Fred is, yeah, I say that. Taking a notice of Fred, I could have taken away his comments, but taking notice of Fred is a keyboard warrior who hasn't the courage of his convictions. I have to set up a hangout, and the two of us could go head to head with any issues. But of course, that doesn't suit the faceless one. I leave his comment up though, and by the way, just we dodo. Oh yeah, I was commenting to self-appointed kings and queens, great name, and I reiterated that today. Self-appointed kings and queens. I'll talk about that in a minute. And you just commented, what proof do you have that a contrarian viewpoint about the system we live under means one is so-called nutcase? I would call you a retard, or do I mean dodo? But that would be a compliment. Well, you know, yeah, fair enough. And again, you know, these people are staunch and stuck in their ways. Ask them about any conspiracy. Ask them any problems with NASA. They'll go, no, 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 no. Nothing at all. So these just childish nonsense. You can't relate to these people. It's like they're purposely speaking a different language. So the best thing is not to relate to them, right? We can't agree on simple, basic terms. Don't relate to them. So, but you can learn from them. This is the point. I have come through all of this, so this is why I'm sort of able to, I'm confident in my own abilities to be able to bring down any of these fakers in short order, short shrift. I could do it in 5 minutes, absolutely. One of my first questions to any of these people would be, you need to prove that you're moving one iota. You need to prove that. The usual thing that you come up with is Foucault's pendulum. Foucault's pendulum. Get Foucault me arse. Foucault me arse. What have you proven for yourself? George Hasnick, he's another one of these all nasty ass characters. I mean, you know, that these guys play. But I posed him the same question. He posted a paper, an MIT paper, something like that, saying, there you go, there's your proof that the Earth moves Foucault's pendulum. So I took a brief look at it at the very start of it under the assumptions. There was the assumption that the Earth was a sphere of the given dimensions and moving at the rates given as well. And I pulled George up in it, and he went very silent. He wouldn't even issue an apology. He was talking on air or talking on some hangout. Maybe he was on Discord, well, a good while back, or maybe it wasn't one of the hangouts anyway, maybe. And he didn't have the courage to even come along and correct it, you know. So this is what you're up against. Don't get too passionate about it. But yeah, they can't, you know. And they always invoke Occam's razor. So Occam Occam tells you, if we're going to trust our senses, well, let that be your starting point, that we have no sensation of movement, none whatsoever, and we experience flatness, and we also see the light show that is above us moving around. So this is our starting point, and these people can't move from there. They can't move from there. I've often talked about that in the past, that Newton, even though I don't think Newton existed, and if he did exist, he was just a faker like Einstein, you know, or he was an actor, let's put it that way. He was an actor on stage, just sort of laying out the tale for us. But he went against Occam's razor, and he said that the earth was moving, but the stars were still, right? Or what did he, no, hang on. What did he say? Hang on, I just get this right now, just to contrast him and Einstein, because it's a parallel. It's a continuation in terms of Einstein and Newton. They're sort of one thread leads on to the next. Newton said that the earth was moving, but the stars were still. There's something along those lines. But no, Einstein then developed on that and said, well, not only was the earth moving, the stars were moving as well. So everything was in a state of motion. That's why everything was relative. So yeah, everyone's starting off with the basic premise that Earth is experiencing movement, right? Whereas when you ask for proof, when you look for some sort of evidence to suggest that this might be the case, you get fuck all, nothing. Not only do your earthwide, anyone's experiences, anyone's personal sensibilities tell them that we're not moving one iota. Yeah, it can be proven that we're not moving as well. If we are moving, well, we cannot detect it. There's no machine built by man that able to detect it. And for me, myself, a beautiful summer's day proves that we're not moving. Because if we are moving, we can all experience it. We can all remember beautiful, calm summer days in the countryside, by a lake, in the still air, on the solid ground. That if we were moving at the given speeds, everything is moving. All these different densities are moving in unison, and we experience complete stillness, right? It's impossible, and it goes against the very backbone of any theorizing in science, right? So yeah, and any physics, any physical model, you know, that we have developed in terms of mathematics, it goes against, it flies in the face of that. So yeah, they got nothing. They got nothing. Fred says, I couldn't think of a bigger waste of time than debating a nutcase like you, Pete. What would be the point? I could show you many ways to debunk flat Earth, but you wouldn't do them. And I could show you mountains of evidence accumulated from thousands of scientists over hundreds of years, and you would spew out your conspiracy insanity. Then I ask for your flat Earth proof, and you have none that stands up to even basic physical examination. I could tell you when the ISS will pass over your location. Well, yeah, someone is with a light is a possibility. So there's a barrier above. Someone is with a laser light, right? Remember when they took down the Twin Towers and they shone those two blue lasers up into the sky? Who's to say you can't do that? Because you can't see the pathway of a laser, right? You can only see a laser when it reflects on something. So that's a possibility, right? And if there's this deception at its core, do you think that they wouldn't have this down to a T? Do you think they wouldn't have this? Of course, it's part and parcel of the fucking deception. While we have an ISS up there, we're building an app for you. So yeah, they're going to fucking give you the location, aren't they? They're going to tell you where or not you can see this reflection. If it's not this reflection of a laser, sort of, I think it might be. I think that's what the stars are. That's what the moon is. That's what the sun is. That's what the planets are. They're reflections off a watery barrier. So yeah, is it too much to ask that a laser with some sort of design in it built into it is you know, is it too much to ask man with all his capabilities to pull off that deception? Not a chance, number 7. And to top it off, I could ask you many physics questions about flat Earth, like the forces the FE sun to follow a circular path, like what forces the FE sun to follow a circular path around the plate while traveling at 60. Well, what forces? Nothing forces it. I don't want to go into this too much. Like, what forces it to follow a circular path? Well, that's got to do with the nature of the barrier, right? That's got to do with the nature of the. First of all, it's got to do with the nature of the reflecting surface, but also it goes back to the source, right? What's going on with the source? I have my own ideas in that. All tides are said to surge from the north. there is talk in terms of mythology about a giant whirlpool at the north. And the way I see it, the sun, Aristarchus, is on a floating island. So if it's projecting and if it's also circling in a whirlpool sort of environment, well, this would account for its circular nature. The speed doesn't matter. It's like me having a laser and just spinning a powerful enough laser at a distant surface, mirroring surface, right? I don't have to do too much work at the source to get a massive circular sort of path around as it appears around the sky. So that's not an issue. But anyway, you wouldn't be able to answer because you simply don't know and don't understand physics. So yeah, all this sort of stuff, you know. So and Fred Jones, you're welcome to come on if you want. Just go into chat, give me, let me know, and I'll send you a link. And you can answer some of my questions. I can try answer some of your questions. Remember, I'm venturing into the unknown, right? I've often said as well, this is not about proof. It's not about me proving shit to you, Fred. When you can come along and tell me that planes, what you saw on 9/11, for instance, is genuine and real, well, then I don't need to take any more notice of you. Your head is up your arse, right? When you can come along and tell me that you're absolutely certain all footage from ISS is kosher and above board, I don't need to talk to you anymore. Your head is up your arse, right? This sort of thing. We can't agree on basics. So, yeah, that's the idea. That's why I don't like to spend too much time. Anyway, so Mr. Jones, Fred Jones. So I wanted to call you out. Let's see if you have any sort of courage. You can come in here and state your case, if you will. Let me just get back to... Right, yeah, more penises. Well, so yeah, so he's part of the the professor crowd, right? You know, and look, I've been to university. I have a degree. I have the legal name has a degree in mechanical engineering, but I never use it. I never took to it in the first place. It's not something I sort of did wholeheartedly, if you will. So I have, and I can, with enough sort of desire or passion, I could put my mind onto anything. And yeah, we know how that works. We know how those systems work, right? It's a continuation of school. You're just told the truth, and the better you are regurgitating, the better you do. Don't start questioning yourself, because the minute you start questioning, well, again, you get back to basics, and you find absolutely no fucking proof of movement. First and foremost, of movement. If the Earth can be shown not to move, then the ball doesn't enter the equation based on the universal behavior of water at similar temperatures and pressures, right? Simple as that. Simple as that. And yeah, well, like Tom Summersday tells you that the Earth doesn't move, and all our senses tell us that the Earth doesn't move one iota. Anyway, finish it off. Well, the sword swallower, right? Sword swallower. He comes up to you and he kneels, he crosses himself and he clicks his high heels. Without further notice, he asks you how it feels, and he said, "Here's your sword back. Thanks for the loan," right? So that's pretty self-explanatory. You know something is happening, but you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? Now you see the one-eyed midget shouting the word now, another reference to the penis, right? Always looking to be satisfied instantaneously. And you say, for what reason? He says, how? And you say, what does this mean? And he screams back, you're a cow. Now give me some milk or else go home, right? I mean, I don't have to expand upon that or break that down anymore. And you know something is happening, but you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? Well, you walk into the room like a camel and then you frown, you put your eyes in your pockets and your nose to the ground. There ought to be a law against you coming around, right? Coming around, you should be made to wear earphones, apparently earphones as well, in that day and age, in the 60s. Not that I knew this, but sort of a term for condoms or prophylactics, right? So, because something is happening, you don't know what it is, do you, Mr. Jones? So anyone with any ideas about, or can expand on who Mr. Jones is exactly, or to you, that'd be cool. Because I still haven't nailed it down, really, but as I said, it's another one of these names that keeps popping up again and again. And for me, this is an expose of this sexual industry and whatever sort of habits, freaky habits are going on behind the scenes, which is, well, I'm not gonna say it's fine. Right? We all have our sexuality, but well, yeah. How true is any of the stuff that's been coming out about the Pizzagate and all of that sort of stuff? We don't know. I'm not sure. I really don't know. It's horrific if it is happening, any abuse to anybody. but most especially children in a sexual way, is horrendous, and there will be a massive price to be paid for it. That's as simple as that. So yeah, I guess you can always repent of everything, but yeah, if you don't, there will be a price, and there probably still has to be a price to be paid anyway. You cannot take the free will away, but especially regarding the innocence of youth, right, of the young. Rather that a milestone be tied around the neck and then dumped into the deepest river or whatever, yeah, than harm the little ones. It's not a biblical quote or other. So who knows? Who knows what's going on? And yeah, that's Bob Dylan's offering. I guess if you can read it in the right sense. And that's something we have to control, right? We have to control these urges, these leanings. And I think it's something built into our condition as well. As I say, as I've talked about many times before, as men, we're sort of programmed to try and rid ourselves, in inverted commas, of our vital bodily fluids at like every hand's turn. So this is something we have to master, and well, we have to resist, right? But yeah, this is, everyone has their sexuality, but when you start imposing your will on others in disgusting manners, I mean, well, God help you, the Creator help you is all I can say. So yeah, that's Mr. Jones. We'll leave that there. And the last one, My Heart and Lute. My Heart and Lute. Yeah, that's the alternative name for it as well. It was Ways and Means. So My Heart and Lute is from Alice Through the Looking Glass, and Ways and Means. Well, by any ways and means, right? Towards an end, like actually my song to Steve there, though it's far from the end, it justifies the means. Yeah, My Heart and Lute, very special. It was Alice's most memorable experience throughout her experiences in Alice in Wonderland, Alice Through the Looking Glass. So we were bound to sit up and take notice. We noticed that it was written by someone that didn't exist, was just Thomas More, who was said to be beheaded. So Thomas More beheaded Behemoth. So yeah, Behemoth is within. Behemoth is within. So we need to start looking at our whole bodies. One of the most important books in the Bible is Job 40. Verses 15 to 24, and funny it ends in 24 with the 888. But yeah, when you understand, let me just, I have it up here. Yeah, but yeah, My Heart and Lute, Behemoth is Thomas More beheaded. That's the whole point, and not to dwell on that as well, but just that Alice informs us that it's pretty important. So we need to take notice and see what's exactly being said here. The most important thing is the first line, behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee. I made with thee, right? Within thee. You know, so you can go through, well, let me read it. Behold now, Behemoth, which, and try to think how it pertains to us. As I say, we don't understand our bodies. We've been given the truth by science, right? Everything is random, arbitrary, and there's nothing special about anything, right? All creatures are just related, and no one has any sort of special ability over anything else. It's all just random, accidental chance that occurred over millions and billions of years. Get the fuck. So now read it with different, read it with a different mind, and hear it with different ears, and see that Behemoth is within us. So it's not this. It is this powerful. It's not a monster. It's this powerful force, right? But it's this force within us. So yeah, for me, it's about our bodily fluids and how we redirect. And again, how we sort of alter our thinking in terms of the functionality of our bodies, and exactly the relationship between us and our bodies, which is us, the greater us, right? We are not our bodies. That's for certain. That's for me. That's for absolute certain. I'm not this body. I know that. But within this apparent reality, it is part and parcel of me. And this is where the HI cube comes into things, right? HIIH. H8, you know, the 8 is the twisted zero, the 0 to the infinity. We are part of this this greater power. So we're not the body. We are the 3 dimensions and the 0 dimensions combined. So yeah, I think these are sort of clues for us to well, to master our physical being. So behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. I think that might be, yeah, that might be a sort of reference to your erection here, right? He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword or S-word, to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees in the covert of the reeds and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river and hasteth not. He trusted that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. There we have half of Behemoth. I talked about that before with the mouth. You put the U and the moth, U within the moth. He taketh it with his eyes, his nose pierced through snares. So yeah, I think this is instruction to us, right? So once we can understand that Behemoth is within, I've altered Behemoth just to be he me. First of all, be he moth, be he something of transformation, right? This is what it's all about, transformation within. But be he me, th. It makes perfect sense to me anyway. The th is the theta is the 1 and the 0, right? The theta is the 0 and the 1, and that's why pi is the number of God, because the relationship between the 1 and the 0, or the 0 and the 1, the 0 is the circle, which is the circumference, and the 1 is the diameter. So that's 3.14 to 1, right? Now 3.14, 3 multiplied by 14 gives us 42. So 42 backwards, 24, 888. So that's why I think Carl Sagan said that the pi was the number of God. So that's how I see that. But yeah, for pretty much everything. When I say God as well, the highest power, the theta encompasses everything, the 0 dimensions and the 3 dimensions, right? So yeah. Yeah, so the Behemoth comes into that. So Behemoth has come up again and again and again. So that's what we need to sort of understand. And as I say, Behemoth is within us. The highest force and highest power is within us. We need to relook at our whole relationship with our bodies, and well, then we can start hearing and seeing things in a different light. So I'll leave it there. And I said I'd better come on tonight because, I don't have anything much prepared, but I probably won't be on for a while after this. As many of you know, I wouldn't have been back. I think everything for a reason as well. Would I have come to realize about Aristarchus if everything hadn't happened? Probably not. Probably not. My father died in the meantime. I didn't have any relationship with my father really, but just by pure chance, I ran into my brother. Then ended up back here. But it's time to be moving on again. I was up with the police today, and the one thing I'm a little bit not hopeful about, I was up with the cops today and yesterday, talking about the same things, all the legal name fraud, biggest fraud perpetrated upon us. But of course, that's just one of the many different frauds that's perpetrated upon us. But I kept reiterating about my sovereign nature of my being, right? And I asked them a few times that you respect that fact, and in fairness, they did, right? They said that. So I did put them all under notice, and again, any fraud that has been revealed, all contracts become null and void. I reiterated my position regarding kings and queens on the land, and I use the term lightly in the sense that we're much more than kings and queens, but it's our birthright, right? We're born onto the land. Each and every one of us are kings and queens in our own right. Right, we've been tricked into thinking we're legal names. The legal name fraud has been exposed now, and as I say, whether we do everything or we do nothing, it still remains true. And so I was reiterating that today. But yeah, as I say, a little bit more hopeful that they are recognizing the sovereignty, and there wasn't so much snickering. And I sat down yesterday and spoke to a reasonably. How can you say, you can't trust people. You just can't trust them. I mean, I remember speaking to a cop before when I was down at the courthouse regarding my son, and just talking to him. I was difficult as usual because fuck it. I mean, these people know nothing about me. They know nothing about these people. Have no authority, right? But you're roped into these situations. But one particular cop is a decent guy, and he said to me, you know, if I had my time again, I never would have entered this environment. I think it ruins your soul. It really does. Like, and even if you're a good man entering the police, you're going to fucking turn bad if you stay around. You're going to turn bad if you stay around. So these people need to be called under oaths, right? And yeah, well, you look, if you make an oath, you're making an oath before the creator. So if you break that oath willy-nilly against the creator's children, if you want to put it just in these colloquial terms, there will be a price to pay. If not in this life, directly, right? Directly, I think, you know, some sort of justice been served out in mysterious ways. Well, then obviously next life or whatever's to come afterwards, which is the greater, the greater aspect of our being, I think. So yeah, everyone needs to be called out. Those people who take an oath need to be called out. So yeah, I'm not going. I don't. Oh, yeah, I don't know when I'll be. I don't know. I don't know when I'll be due for another hangout. Who knows what happens from here? Tomorrow I'll go into the police again. I was saying to man, I mean, you know, what do you do? What do you do? My carriage, my conveyance, right, has no tax, no insurance, no license plates, and I've given out the number I choose before as well, and I have that carriage since 2001, right? Ford Focus, but it's FRE. I just got it made up. You know, you can obviously make up these things, and yeah, any shop will make them up for you. FRE E101. So basically, when you put the two together, so it looks like a French license plate or something. So you have FRE, capital black letters, and then E101. You just squeeze them together. You're free 101. The idea being you're basically free, right? So yeah, that's the issue. Got into trouble with that before, so I'm prepared to get into trouble with that again. But that's fine. Yeah, these people need to be called out now. And so whatever is going to come, I don't anticipate it'll go too well. But we still got to stick to our guns, right? And I have made it clear. And actually, let me. Will I read that when I take a break in a minute? I'll get that. I might as well read out on air what I went up to the army with, and they pretty much dishonored themselves. And yeah, these people are guilty of treason in one sense now, and I put them on notice today as well. If they fail to act, they're guilty of treason against the Irish people. This is a crime of monstrous proportions against not just the Irish people, of course, against everybody. But the fraud has been exposed, and there is no, in law, there is no, you cannot be forced to act illegally, right? Cannot be forced to act illegally. And yeah, the creator is on our side. So whatever comes of it, comes of it. So yeah, this was just, whatever happened, just a simple twist of fate that I met my brother, told me my father was ill, so I ended up coming back. So it's time to sort of move on again. So I said I better come on, do a hangout, just go over a few things and see what comes up. And as I say, yeah, everything for a reason. If I didn't come back here, would I have realized the significance of Aristarchus? I don't think so. Maybe, well, I probably would eventually, but I mean, I don't see. Well, you can only have one. There's only one path, right? So yeah, everything for a reason. And let me go into chat here, just to see if Fred has picked up the baton, or anyone else actually for that matter who wants to come in. No problem at all. Just let me know. I'll go through a few things, a few interesting things found out yesterday. Back to the monolith as well. Did you know that a monolith on January 1st, 2001, a mysterious monolith appeared in a certain area, a certain park in Seattle, in Washington? Did you know that? I didn't know that. So I'll go through that. And yeah, the monolith has been of particular interest for me recently when I found out that Stanley Kubrick, within his movie, his most famous movie, I guess, 2001: A Space Odyssey, yeah, he set the crater, the pit in which the monolith was found, he set that to the design or to reflect Aristarchus, right? And I can show that. I've already showed that as well. But the fact that this is the case is amazing, right? So yeah, these are clues for us, and the truth is known, and everything that we are discerning now, for me, always just speaking from my own point of view, yeah, we are meant to. So this is the path that we are on. And well, in terms of a greater game, is this the ultimate purpose of our lives, you know, to find out and to figure out this, that there is a greater purpose indeed, and well, yeah, much more lies beyond than what we would ever give him credit for, right? I think this is just a tiny part of reality, which is our lives, you know. I think it's a tiny part of reality. We are much greater than all of this, and so who knows what's to come. That brings its own sort of scariness in a sense. If we are, for instance, if we are, this is a scary thought to me, for instance, if we are everything, if we are the highest power, surely, I know we have to think differently in terms of time, but surely we would choose to experience, I don't know, what it feels like to be every single creature, you know, if time doesn't come into things on that greater scale. Surely, and I don't want to be I don't want to be a fucking rabbit eaten by a snake, right? That doesn't sound appealing to me. But having said that, could have a great life as a rabbit. Then you know, just a few short moments of pain, bit of suffocation, then you're out. So maybe it's not too bad. But this is sort of a scary thought, you know. So yeah, I think this life is just a very, very tiny, infinitesimal portion of everything. And well, is Aristarchus the ultimate answer? Yes, it is for me. It's the ultimate answer. Now we have to sort of get, now, well, first of all, we have to sort of, I was going to say we have to get to the bottom of Aristarchus. What exactly are the implications of it? That's again for the individual. It's mind-boggling in one sense. And I'll show you a few things in a second, just relating to the mind-bogglingness of it all. Yeah, it's for the individual to contemplate. And yeah, ultimately, that's all there is, right? Is the individual. Have I a fucking copyright strike already? Maybe I don't. Just keep getting these copyright notices, and there's no reason for it. Like, I can't find any reason for it because I don't play other people's stuff or anything like that. So, well, as I say again, this is all for non-profit and educational purposes. So that has no bearing really. Let me go into chat and listen. Any questions or anything like that? Anyone wants to come in, let me know, and that'll be no problem. And I know that I don't go into chat very often. I sort of leave you to it for the most part, right? And there's some great suggestions, but I do like reading chat. There definitely is some great suggestions that are made, and I do make note of some certain stuff. It seems to me that I lose a lot of the chat some of the time, so I don't know what I'm missing out on. Let me get rid of that. There's some great suggestions that are made, and I do make note of some. Okay, that seems to be coming through. Okay, let me turn down the quality here. Yud, how are you doing, Yud? Good to see you, man. You've been around the block so many times, so long now, Yud. I dare say there's no chance of you coming in having a conversation. And look, I'm not going to question you any further, Yud. What are you going to do? I'm just going to let it go. For the most part, you seem genuine above board, but oh, gosh, we have to. You know, I mean, you wouldn't be natural if you didn't sort of question everybody. It's such an arena, right? And the thing is, look, I think we're sort of we're sort of funneled as well in one sense. It's like, you know, well, we're all flat earthers, so let's focus on bringing down the bowlers. And again, this is not towards you particularly or especially or anything, but yeah, it's all of us against all of them. No. There's a different thing going on here. Flat Earth was controlled from the get-go. Every single main player that has been there from the start. In terms of flat earth, for me, has been put in place. Every single one of them, every one of them. And now we can see sort of a big band connecting all of them. So what are you going to make of that? I don't know. That's up to yourself. For me, when you listen, there's no progress. There's no progress, and we're sort of kept in a state of stagnation. But that's the point as well. Because it's an individual's journey, you have to realize this and go along and move on then, asking your own questions and digging out your own sort of pathway, you know. This is the ultimate point. So it doesn't do to get too emotionally involved in terms of anything. So if people are decent, I think we have to sort of accept it at face value and move on. Again, there's so much left for us to understand. So this is what we got to we gotta realize. Emerald Rider, how you doing? Dominic Sobolewski, how you doing, Dominic? Good to see you, man. Dominic. You're on your own quest, man, and of course, much love and good wishes on that quest. And I think everything comes to pass eventually, Dominic. We are in a divided state, and who knows? Some of us might be lucky enough to find our other halves. I do think ultimately that the perfect other half is within, right? I think this is a sort of metaphysical thing. So the perfect woman is within for the man. The perfect man is within for the woman. I think this is the idea. We don't have to look outside, but I guess within this material realm, there is your soulmate somewhere. So if you're lucky enough to find your soulmate, your other half, well, brilliant, you know. But yeah, don't forget to keep looking inwards as well. So anyway, Sandy 123, how you doing, Sandy? Excellent, good to see you. I don't know. Have we spoken before, or are you just new on the scene, Sandy? But you certainly put forward. You were the first I heard anyway, putting forward the possibility that Mark Thatcher was playing the role of Theresa May, and now we're absolutely certain that that is the case. I have proved it to myself anyway. I'm absolutely satisfied that it is the case. John Watson tells me that he suspects, not that he suspects, there's a very close resemblance, Mark Thatcher and Savile. So are we dealing with Jimmy Savile, an offspring of Jimmy Savile? Pretty sure that Louis Theroux is an offspring of Jimmy Savile. But who knows what else is going on here? We just don't know what this structure entails, right? Of course, we're given the story about Jimmy Savile being at Checkers for 14 Christmases, he unlimited access to Buckingham Palace, that sort of thing. Why are we given this information? This is the question we have to ask ourselves. We will be sort of not a step ahead. I think it will be a step ahead, but we got to, you know, if this was true, I think if it was, well, it would be hidden. That's my point. It would be true. I mean, the Queen is the most prestigious person on earth. If Jimmy Savile and all his sexual deviant behaviors were true, and he was had a familiar relationship with the Queen and Prince Charles and all of these fakers, that would be hidden, right? We wouldn't get to hear about it. But of course, we get to hear about all of that. So we got to sort of, you know, ask ourselves these pertinent questions. Why are we getting to hear about this stuff? But yeah, thank you, Sandy, for that. Absolutely certain that Mark Thatcher is Terry May or Theresa May. There's no doubt for me. And he's another sort of George Bush. You know, these people are in the public limelight. So Margaret Thatcher, a big figure, British politics, Irish politics as well. You'd expect many more pictures of Mark Thatcher there, but no, very few pictures to compare him and Theresa May. So it's the same with Theresa May, very, very few pictures of her as a younger woman, because these are all crafted characters, and Thatcher was, you know, prepared from the outset. These plans are long since made, you know, whoever's making these plans. So yeah, like George Bush, very, very few pictures you can compare you can find of George Bush as a younger man. But you will find some, and when you do that comparison, and was I the first to bring that up? Was I the first to discover that as well? And I think I might have been, because I can't remember anybody else. If someone might have made a suggestion like Sandy, I definitely went away and did my own investigation into George Bush, and it's there somewhere on the internet. I've done a thread or two, maybe on Jim Fetzer's or Lunatic Outpost or something like that, or Above Top Secret or something like that. Presenting the case for George Bush playing the role of Charles Manson, Charles Moon's son. Yeah, Charles Moon's son. And I was just trying to think. Those Manson murders came very shortly after the I think the moon landings, and that was all connected with Woodstock. Was another. There was sort of in the numerological data, there was these connections being made. And another connection between the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, and the plane and the moon landing. Just, I think it was 66 years or something like that. You know, all of these different clues for us. But yeah, George W. Bush being Charles Manson, absolutely certain as well. And don't let anyone tell you that George Bush is a dumbass. He was playing the dumbass. Just go and look, specify yourself, first of all, that he did play the role of Charles Manson. A few people have followed up on that. Morgile is one of them. I suspect Morgile has been taking a pieces of my work, right? Not my work, my findings. Because when he talked about George W. Bush recently being Charles Manson and returning a 94% in terms of facial recognition software match, yeah, that was cool. He said he did that in 2013. I realized that before that, it was maybe 2012, even 2011 possibly, when I made my investigation. But I also did at the same time an investigation of Obama and Osama, and I used one particular picture, right, of Obama. I could find that as well. I used one particular picture of Obama. So when John Memorial was presenting his Manson, he also presented this Obama-Osama possibility, but he brought up this picture that I had used in my comparison of Obama with Osama. So I suspect, John, that anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to push that. It doesn't matter. The truth is out there. I mean, I found so many things. Richard Dreyfuss, definitely one of my own finds. Richard Dreyfuss being Bernie Madoff. You should be up in arms. We should be up in arms at every hand's turn, because we're just being fucking wound up and fooled and tricked at every level. But Richard Dreyfuss, they come out and tell you as well. They come out and tell you. They almost want you to know. Richard Dreyfuss playing the role of Bernie Madoff. Yeah. Absolutely certain for that. Richard Dreyfuss even did a ABC mini-series, right, where he played the role of Bernie Madoff back in 2015, I think it was, 2016. And that's the joke. That's the joke. They made him, they could have made, fuck it. I mean, what the makeup they used, they made him look a bit like Bernie Madoff, but the joke is that he was only made up badly to look like the character, the man that he played originally. So you get the joke there, like Osama was given to us on a plate. So the joke being Obama ordered and executed the death of Osama bin Laden, then tossed the body over into the oceans. But Obama only went and killed himself, right? So this is the joke that they like playing on us. But again, they want us to know this. So if they're giving us this on a plate, like Antonio Super is giving us Patricia Steer as a male on a plate, which many people seem to have completely forgotten. Just forget about the deception. Just no, it doesn't matter. Let's all just hold hands and dance around the daisy. Forget about all of this deception. Don't ask any questions. Just let's get into fucking knobland and not move anywhere in our reckoning. But yeah, that was given to us on a plate. So therefore, other things have been hidden. So these are things we must recognize and realize. So Osama was given us, but Will Smith playing the role of both, or all three even. Who knows who Will Smith really is? What a generic name, Will and Smith. So who knows? Born and bred for the role, absolutely. Like Mark Sargent, I would say again. We have to sort of think in bigger terms, and these things, this is the narrative of our lives, as all of this is playing out. This is long since thought out, so who's doing the thinking? Well, that's you answer. You can let me know what you think about that. So yeah, greetings, Sandy, but excellent. I appreciate that. After my inspection the last time, they were one and the same, Mark Thatcher and Theresa May. But as John Watson says then, well, is Mark Thatcher Jimmy Savile's son? Or what else is going on? What's the deeper layer of stuff? So we always have to be aware that there can be many different layers. So you never sort of rest in your laurels and say that, well, that's solved, we can move on. So yeah, thank you, Sandy, for that. Here's another one I realized as well. Let me just say that briefly. Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg exists. I don't think he has any real existence, right? He's a computer-generated man. And this has been broached before on Clues forums many a time, where there's lots of different glitches. It's like Edward Snowden, another computer-generated man. So lots of different glitches. They had that sort of pasty look at times, and then it's sort of in high definition. It's almost too perfect, right? There's no blemishes or anything like this, but there's other slip-ups. So yeah, I think the whole Facebook questioning, whatever, Senate hearings, whatever you want to call them, all this theater is just that. It is theatrics, and we are presented with a movie show, and everyone involved. So if Zuckerberg is a computer generated character, I saw this is my point. I saw Ted Cruz. I saw Ted Cruz doing the questioning, or at least doing some of the questioning. And again, it was just cut. It was like Obama and the Will Smith interview. You won't find one picture. I think you'll find one picture of Will Smith and Obama together, and they're not even together. Apparently, Obama was picking up his Nobel Peace Prize, and Will Smith was there. So they're such great friends that when Obama took office, Will Smith was at the Nobel Peace Prize. But the thing is about the photograph, it's clearly faked, as Obama and his Mushal are walking. Excuse me, walking to collect the prize or whatever. Will Smith is looking completely the wrong way. But these people are said to be two close friends, two most famous black men on the planet. Yeah, one that the other get elected, etc. But no pictures of them together. They even did an interview together, no pictures of them together. And yeah, well, I won't go through the interview again, but you have your clues. There's a head, there's a coin above each of their heads. And for all the world, they're in the same seat, so they're two heads to the same coin. So these are our clues, and that's why I think all of these things are meant to be known. Maybe at some point in the future we can laugh and look back and laugh at all of this, and see the great humor. But it's not too humorous to be in the midst of it anyway. In realizing all of this fabrication and fake nature of our reality, because it can be pretty trying and pretty difficult, right? So yeah, we have to recognize these things and call them out for what they are. Yeah, and look, anyone in the chat who's just like Baz Band, like these same characters, right? Yeah, anyone with a wrench out there, anyone who else we want a wrench, just let me know. But yeah, these same characters, returning characters, just with the same old spiel, same old sort of incredulous attitude, conspiracy, everything's conspiracy in the sand. Yeah, I get the fuck. I mean, you can show them a bit of rope, I guess, but don't be too tolerant, I think, because it's well gone beyond that. So yeah, welcome to everybody anyway. And as I say, anybody who wants to anyone who wants to come onto our chat or anything like that, let me know. Rebecca's way, how you doing, Rebecca? Good to see you. I know you were doing a chat earlier on, but I didn't mean to sort of step on anybody's toes. That's never my intention. So yeah, good to see you here. Steve Watson, how you doing, Steve? Good to see you, man. Richie FE, how you doing? I don't think we've met before, have we, man? I'm not sure. Sandra of Coolpix 900, how you doing, Sandra? Good to see you. Grateful for that. Windows Media, I think I mentioned that the last time, the Windows video maker. Hopefully I'll get around to it, making some videos in the next while if I'm not on air, and present them. That shouldn't be too difficult to do because I have lots of pictures, right? So I don't even particularly need to be plugged into the internet or anything like that. I don't need to upload it. So that'd be interesting because there's so many different videos I could do. There really is. So maybe it's good that I'll do a bit of thinking, how to compress a series of snapshots and put a bit of text to a bit of music and just present it then. So yeah, Jamie, how you doing, Jamie? Always good to see you, man. And yeah, it's great to talk. Geez, we've been at this a while, Jamie. You've put in many hours of talking now, right? You must be worn out. But no. The battle goes on, right? Battle rages on. So yeah, welcome. And I think that's about it. If I missed anyone, sorry about that. Okay. Let me just take a little break then before I get into the Seattle monolith, right? And I'll just, as I said, I'm not planned, so I'll just wing my way through and see what comes up. I won't stay on for very long, but as I said, I wanted to do a hangout anyway because I don't know when the next one is going to be. And I'm just probably in general terms reiterate where I'm at with everything. Of course, everything comes back to Aristarchus. If you don't realize that now, you'll realize it later. For me, there's no doubt about it. And it's always been presented. It's always been there for us. This truth is before us, and it's been presented on many different fronts. I pointed out a few of those fronts. People might think there's a big vague nature to what I've been pointing out, but well, that's just in the nature of my presentation sort of methodology or skills. Really, I'm just lacking these skills. But also, it's a sort of a conscious thing in the sense that I realize that there's no telling anyone else, or speaking for myself as well, no one can tell me the truth. I've got to make my own way to it. And only then, when I do that, well, the truth can be appreciated, like, you know, by me. But yeah, everything, Aristarchus is the ultimate answer to everything. And yeah, it's all there is. It's all there is. When you look at the moon, you can satisfy yourself. There's many different sites that have a detailed package with all the different craters. You can satisfy yourself that you're dealing with, you're not dealing with solidity in the first place, you're dealing with a reflection, and then you're dealing with, as I say, different magnifications, different angles, overlaying, all of this. So it's all of these reflected artifacts or fractal artifacts, and they can be distinguished and unraveled. And when you do that, then you get to the same, absolutely certain, you come to the same point and conclusion that I've come to, that each and every one of those craters is the same thing expressing. Yeah. So okay, let me just put on a little bit of music, and I'll go and get that. I'll go and get that letter that I wrote. That's not it though. Is it image and music? Let me just type it in there. That's it. All right, hang on. Okay. Let me just. I think it's here that I'm getting the warnings, right? The copyright warnings. Everyone must own everything, right? For fuck's sake, I don't want to fucking own anything. I don't want to own anything at all. No, there's nothing coming up here. Yeah. Okay, just comment. No, this is all shagged up. Brian Mullen's just coming up on the screen here. Brian Mullen. Brian was put into place. Brian was there to give a sort of a respectable face, an educated face to Flat Earth, right? And don't forget, before he left, what did he do? He was responsible for well, first of all, he had this tremendous story, right? This dramatic sort of love story, bittersweet in the sense that, you know, he met somebody, found God, he found the Bible again, got married, had a relationship, a child even, but then he got into trouble with his job because he was like pushing boundaries here, and then he suddenly goes missing. Before he goes missing, he introduces you to Robbie Davidson, right? He introduces you to Robbie Davidson, and there's the chief hijacker of the Flat Earth International Conference, and they pushed the Bible down your throat, and that's what they made the Flat Earth about. And now their stretch has come across the Atlantic, so we have the Flat Earth Conference soon, and all the players, all the people put in from the start. Nathan Oakley, I asked Nathan Oakley that was he Flat Earth discussion, Flat Earth debates last year, a couple of years ago, a couple of years now, maybe a year and a half. Was he flat? And he did say at one stage, very briefly, yes, he was. So he's another one put in there. Now, I don't, know Nathan Oakley, and there were too many dealings with him, but I can see that he's put in place, right? Or he's playing his part in all of this. And people who are connected, what can you fucking say? The only thing you can say is that, look, there's this connection here. And again, remember I was talking about the thread that connects and binds all of them. Yeah, this is the thread. They're all Flat Earth Corp, the people from the Flat Earth International Conference, the British version of the same. All these people self-promoting one another, And well, how far have you come, really? I mean, how far have we come? You know, this is the point. This is the point. So just to make those observations, to make those comments, I think there's a sort of an onus on us, or on me anyway, coming from where I'm at, because yeah, I can see the truth in it, right? And I can't get this fucking music up for some reason. I can't get any music up. Alert music. Creative Commons. That should bring up, what do you call it, right? It should bring up loads of return, but it's not bringing up any. It's not bringing up any. Okay, well, let's just play this. Flat Earth song, See the Plains. Let me share my screen here for you. Again, Mark Sargent promoted, so I don't want to be doing that, but there doesn't seem to be any other choices. They're taking over.
Yeah, that's what they like to tell us. And NASA's grinning. They'll continue to fool us and take our money, spend it on the propaganda. They think it's funny. They're the ones with all the power. But we don't need the lies. They have begun the lies. See how the planes fly. They don't think we're wise, but we're coming out strong, and it won't be long until everyone knows Earth is a plane.
Oh, hang on, let me just go back here a second. There you see the sun. Look at the sun above the horizon. You see the emanating, or above the atmosphere, you see the emanating pattern. This is consistent and is within the sun itself. And as I say, go and look up crater Tycho on the moon. Go and look up crater Copernicus on the moon. You can see this pattern emanating. It's an energy coming from a pit, is the best way you can describe it, like a volcanic sort of center. And yeah, this is consistent. Look at that's far from circular, isn't it? Let me just zoom in a small bit. Far from a circular, what do you call it, pattern. And again, I have isolated, well, not just isolated that, I have narrowed it down, and I have shown that this is the pattern as it emanates from Aristarchus. So all there is Aristarchus. There we have it above the clouds. Far from circular, right? We're told by science that the sun is the most circular object and spherical object, or circular, let's just say, first of all, in the universe. So, well, this just shows you how water within its water everywhere affects the visuals. So if the sun appears circular through the water vapor that we observe as we're looking at the sun, well, you know, this is certainly not within the source itself. There's a very jagged pattern associated to it, attached to it. So yeah, we've narrowed that down as well. So yeah, let me just continue here.
Believe it, it's saying the earth is flat. If you don't buy that, you've been fooled once again. The pictures are fake and there's mistakes. Oh, it's all pretend. Evolution, now how does that work really? And gravity, you understand that's a theory. One side of the moon, the stars don't move. Antarctica's treaty sounds pretty seedy, but we don't need the lies.
Oh, hang on, that's another thing I realized. Hang on, remember with NASA? And remember I was talking about the serpent, and of course we're talking about the serpent's tongue. That's given to us, right? Oh, but the conspiracy people will go, us, me included, of course, once you get to a certain point. oh, look at how that could be a sort of a T, and then you have NASA, you can put that in, you get Satan, right? But remember I was talking about this serpent. This is the serpent that they're referencing. This is the serpent of Aristarchus, if you will. It's the pattern associated with Aristarchus expressing. And well, I did show you that this pattern can be found everywhere. It can be found in the clouds, and I've seen it today. I hope you listened the last time that you went out and did your own observations and found this exact pattern. Well, not this exact pattern, but something very close to this serpent tongue within the clouds. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. Honestly, it's just because it's a repeating emanation, and it's sort of a cause and effect as waves being projected, and they're interacting with the clouds, and the clouds are sort of adhering to these waveforms. And this is what you see each and every time. So that's what I take NASA is, or this logo is indicating for us, amongst many other things, actually. And that's one thing I meant to sort of re-look at as well. I've pointed out with John Lennon the last time, how he's hinting at us that the stars, the sun, the moon, they're all the same thing. They're all one and the same, you know. And well, that's certainly yeah, where I've arrived. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. It's all one and the same thing, Aristarchus. But yeah, here we have this serpent from NASA. So yeah, many different layers to the so again, clues. Yeah, this is what it is. And NASA is, don't hate on NASA, I guess, in the sense that, you know, they are clue givers. And without their slip-ups, you know, lots of stuff wouldn't be quite as obvious. They can do the best job ever. None of us needed to have ever gotten to this point of questioning. We never, you know, we could have been fooled forever, I think. There would have been they could have done a much better job on everything that they presented to us. No doubts about it. So, yeah, we have to bear in mind there might be something different going on. So
they don't need the lies, and they have fake alibis. See how the planes fly. They don't think we're wise, but we're coming out strong, and it won't be long until everyone knows Earth is a plane. Believe it, it's sane. The Earth is flat.
Okay, I haven't heard that before, but excellent. Very good. Any form of expression is good. I'm just looking at the side here. Arthur C. Clarke. Arthur C. Clarke was responsible for co-writing at the not co-writing at the same time as the movie was being made. Arthur C. Clarke was writing the novel 2001: A Space Odyssey. Well, as in the hangout of in the description, we have Aristarchus is an anagram of Christ's aura. That's perfect. But also ICARUS RATHS. That's perfect as well. But also see Arthur as is. Right, and Arthur C. Clarke, see Arthur as is. Yeah, this is too close for comfort. And when I looked up Wikipedia for his middle name, it's Charles, so it's Arthur Charles Clarke. So indeed, within that expanded middle name, we have Aristarchus. So Aristarchus can be found. So yeah, it's Aristarchus is the answer, and well, it's just a matter of realizing this. Does Mark Sargent know? Absolutely. Even looking at Isa, look at Isa's, what do you call it here? Isa Mahalski, Isa. Okay, well, look at his thumbnail here with Jesus, the Son behind. You know Isa, yeah, very possibly, man. You even pointed out, I think in Jamie's Hangout, a little, what do you call it? A little message going, I know you don't like me, Pete, but you were just going through some guy, some navigator, and he was talking about Aristarchus and its significance. It's not that I don't like you, I said. I know that you're playing your part, right? So I have to call you out for playing your part because you're not being honest. You're not being honest about 9/11. You're not being honest about the legal name. You're not being honest about lots of different things. And just tuned in briefly to your debate school. I mean, how many years later at this stage? And, you know, it's just the same shit. It's the same thing again and again and again. And, well, I'm bored with it anyway. So it's not that I don't like anybody. It's not about like or dislike. But if I know that you're acting a part and you come along and say, you fucking crazy, you think I'm acting a part, Well, I'm going to have a problem with that then, right? Because I know you're acting a part, because I have these grounds for it. So that's the issue here, and you know that. But I don't know you, man. We're not friends. There's nothing else going on. So yeah, the way I look at you, you're just another actor on the stage you be put in place. And I actually suspect, I was watching Joe Rogan. I said this to you, I said ages ago. I was watching Joe Rogan commentate on UFC, right? And I heard, or just whatever, one of these 20 knockouts or something that just came up. And I heard someone commentating, and my goodness, he had exactly, I said, I had heard you on Pancho Pizza or whatever, and I said, that's fucking nice, Sam. So and it turns out you did have this interest in UFC as well. And I asked you straight up, did you know Joe Rogan? And you just said no and left it there. So what else can I do about that? But absolutely pretty certain it was you, or it was someone, your voice double. And yeah, with your interest in UFC as well. You know, nothing surprises me these days. So it's, again, it's not about not liking you. I hope your heart is good, man. And I hope everybody's heart is good. And even the people, who are for certain acting the part, we have to think the possibility anyway that they are involved in this noble lie. So let me just play a song myself. And then I'll jump on before it gets too late. I'm not going to stay on too long. It's a great song. Just kind of small bit now. Okay. It's called The Thrasher. I know I've sang this before, but by Neil Young. No, he didn't write it, by the way, but they were hiding behind the hay bales. They were planting in the full moon. They had given all they had for something new. But the light of day was on them. They could see the thrashers coming, and the water shone like diamonds in the dew. I was just getting up, hit the road before it's light, trying to catch an hour on the sun. I saw those thrashers rolling by, looking more than 2 lanes wide. I was feeling glad my day had just begun. Where the eagle glides ascending, there's an ancient river bending down the timeless gorge of changes where sleeplessness awaits. I searched out my companions who were lost in crystal canyons where the aimless blade of science slashed the pearly gates. Cause then I knew I'd had enough, burned my credit card for fuel, headed out to where the pavement turns to sand. With a one-way ticket to the land of truth and my suitcase in my hand. How I lost my friends, I still don't understand. They had the best selection. They were poisoned with protection. There was nothing that they needed, nothing left there to find. They were lost in rock formation, or became park bench mutation. On the sidewalks and in the stations, they were waiting. I got bored and left them there. they just did wait to be better down the road without that load. Back the time when I was 8 or 9, I was watching my mama's TV. It was that great Grand Canyon Rescue episode where the vulture glides descending on an asphalt highway bending through libraries and museums and galaxies and stars, down the windy halls of friendship, through the roads clipped by the whirlwind, the motel of lost companions, plates with heated bars. We are not stopping there, I got my own road left to hold. Just another line in the field of time. If Thrasher comes, I'll be stuck in the sun like the dinosaurs and shrines. But I know the time has come to get what's mine. Okay, lovely. The Thrasher, I'll leave it there. If you're interested, excellent song. This is all about, you know, I think most of these songs are all about the same things. But look at the way he says, the motel of lost companions awaits with heated pool and bar. So like the David Bowies, when your act is played, when your Michael Jackson's, when your part is played, you can take the option to go here. But of course, Neil Young is still on the road, right? Yeah, there's so many different clues in here. Yeah, well, it's all about yeah. What are mountains? What is solid matter? What are we dealing with here? And yeah, I think this is a very revealing song in a certain light. So yeah, I just decided to play that. Very interesting. Slash the pearly gates, and I was just thinking about pearly gate. Actually, excellent. Pearly gates, right? So pearly gates, you get pearls from an oyster, I star, right? I star, Aristarchus, right? Aristarchus. So that's where the pearly gates, so you can make that association. Pearly gates represents the gates to heaven, right? So Aristarchus, right? That's the way I see it. Yeah, okay, I'll leave that. Recommend everybody goes. Another interesting one, just here where we go. They were planting in the full moon. They were planting in the full moon. Not to get too deeply into it. This is when, okay, a bit risque, but look, when we were talking about earlier on, once we can understand our bodies, once we can understand that we are a combination of, well, more so we're the 0 dimensions, right? But the body then is the 3 dimensions. So we can affect the functionality of our body by just looking at things differently and seeing what has power within. And this is where the semen comes into it. Semen, absolutely semen. And if we think about the woman's cycle, right? The woman's cycle, we often associate with the full moon, isn't it? So women often have their period in the full moon. This is what I'm thinking with the semen, right? So it's about self-impregnation. This is the idea behind it. So it's self-impregnation. So we starve ourselves, not starve ourselves, we're going to fast for 3 or 4 days leading up to the full moon, hang on to your semen, and then, well, impregnate yourself. I think this is what's been hinted at. This is the manna from heaven. So make what you will of that. I'm not recommending anything to anybody, but I think, you know, we have to start looking at different things in a different manner, in different manners, and well, entertain many different ideas, right? So that's my thoughts on that, and I think we've been told that as well, especially in the full moon. The full moon, as I say, I understand the full moon in the sense now that we're dealing with reflections. When we see a no moon, we're talking about the sun being reflected against the top of the barrier, right? The uppermost part. Think of it in terms of a sine wave as it makes its way down, and so as at the crest, very top, close at the highest point that the sun is reflected against the barrier, we have no moon. Right, there's no room for reflection. As it makes its way down, we have the crescent moon making its way to the half moon. Then is along the horizontal, right? So we have two half moons, and then as it makes its way down to the lowest point, which is the trough at the tip there, this is when we have the full moon, and this is where we can bathe, I guess, in one sense, in the energies of the full moon. Right, the full moon. So all it is a reflection, a direct reflection off of the barrier. And as it makes its way back up, then we go back through from full to half moon, back to crescent moon to no moon again on the other side. So that's how I understand it, and I'm happy enough with that. We're dealing with reflections, but as I say, the moon, it's just one area reflected, refracted, overlaying again and again and again, and this is Aristarchus. Aristarchus seems to be sort of grouped around three different Herodotus, Herodotus, right? I was thinking about that. I was get the heck. Herodotus, and Prince. So they're the three creators, if you want to call them that, associated with Aristarchus. The two creators associated with Aristarchus. You might say one's the Father, one is the Son, one is the Holy Spirit. The Prince is the Son, right? And the Holy Spirit, Herodotus, which is mysterious, is very mysterious crater, as they call it. And well, if you look at the moon, you will see Herodotus in terms of its blackness repeated many different times throughout the moon, just in different sizes. So it's easily enough to match. It's very easy done, actually, and someone with the necessary skills could easily do this. All of the little black circles you see on the moon, and there's a good few of them in varying sizes, they're all one and the same thing, Herodotus, right? So that itself is a reflected artifact of Aristarchus. But I think that the three together are projected out, you know what I mean, and repeated. I think this is what's happening. But again, ultimately, everything comes back down to Aristarchus. That's the be-all and end-all. It is the sky, it is the luminaries, it is the earth, and as I say, it is within us. It is within us. And, well, we all came here from the semen meeting the egg, right? So, yeah, we have to venture into many different areas, down many different rabbit holes, if we try to ascertain some sort of definitive answers in terms of our own reckoning. So some lots of different clues here. Crystal canyons, right? We were lost in crystal canyons. Well, that's the original form, original matter, giant crystalline tree of life. Aristarchus is the decapitated tree of life. That's the way I look at it now. And I'll show you that in a second. I'll show you, depending on which way you look at it, it can either be something that's intruding or protruding, right? So I can show you that in a second. What I just want to do now is while it's here, this is the letter I wrote to the, so just to have it on record, it's already in record, and this was addressed to Colonel Doyle. So already this guy, the army, and I have their names there, they're already engaged in illegality. So they opened up a letter addressed to somebody else. They already told me that Colonel Doyle was the senior man in command at the barracks in Limerick. So I addressed the letter to him. I went back a few times and not created any ruckus, but these people didn't have to deal with me, right? So it ended up them threatening me, but they ended up opening the letter and started threatening, you know, don't you be putting blood on a letter. And the blood was only just to, I'll get to that in a second, just a little dot of blood, right, as a signature, just a proof of life in one sense. So I'm not embarrassed about any of this. I stand over everything. The wording could be different, but it's the intent behind it which will go along with me. So yeah, this was dated the 7th of February 2018. Let me just, I can show you I just have a copy here. So I think yeah, you can see me here, can't you? You see me? Yeah, I'm not sure if that's. Am I coming through here? That's live, isn't it? I should just go back to the fucking. Yeah, that's live. That's cool. So that's just the copy of it. 2 pages. Did it in red ink as well. So let me just read what I wrote. And look, we need to do something. The Manic Street Preachers had a song, and it's ringing in my head now as well. If we tolerate this, then our children will be next. Well, we've tolerated it, and our children are now, right? So we still have time, and this is up to each individual to do what you can do. This can't continue. As I say, I had the thoughts the other day, and it's horrible thoughts that it's horrible thoughts. I wanted 5 children. I wanted, I love children, and I wanted 5 children of my own. I miss my daughter. I don't have a daughter. I always wanted a daughter, was the point there. But thinking that I don't want to bring Stephen in, my son in. I don't want him to be here in this horrible reality. It's all down to me, right? Bringing him into this horrible reality. I don't like that. So we have tolerated this, and our children are now, right? Our children are now. So what else to do? I don't know. Anyway, this is what I did. This is what I wrote. So Colonel Doyle, I was told that this guy was the officer in charge at the barracks in Limerick, Sarsfield Barracks in Limerick, and apparently then he wasn't there at all, right? He used to be there, and now he was situated in Europe. He was working for Europe. So the letter still should have found him, but these fuckers opened the letter. And even though I went out and wrote another letter to the guy who was supposed to be in charge, and he wouldn't take that then because he'd already opened this one and read that. But at least it's open out in the open there. So I'm going to just read it now briefly, and then I'll get on to the stuff. So this is what I wrote. As I say, I could have worded it better, but the sentiment is there behind it. So Colonel Doyle, 7th of February 2018, Colonel Doyle, behold you and all soldiers who have taken an oath to living flesh and blood, men, women, and children of Eire. To that oath, I have declared myself king of Eire on the basis that all born on the land of Eire are sovereign and kings and queens in their own right, but have been deceived into consenting to being legal dead fictions in the form of the legal name. The legal name is a commercial vessel, a dead corporation, and a legal fiction, which is the property of another. The copyright use of the legal name was signed away with the creation of the birth certificate, and it is illegal to use the legal name without the express permission of the copyright holders. That is the Crown Corporation based in the City of London. Fundamental in all this is my understanding that I live on a level and a stationary plane, and not a spinning careering ball as presented by mainstream science. Each and every man, woman, and child born onto the land of Eire are sovereign on the land and completely outside the jurisdiction of any and all systems of admiralty or maritime law. I forgot to put in law there. Sovereign people of Eire have been deceived at every level and on every front, from the legal name fraud to the fiat dead currency system, to fabricated history and timelines, to illegal wars and fabricated terror, all the way up to the ultimate deception regarding the very shape and nature of our earthly home. There's ultimate corruption at every level. I, as self-appointed king of Eire, demand of every oath taker to the living sovereign men, women, and children of Eire that you rise up and unite on behalf of the flesh and blood people of Eire against these dastardly deceptions and forces of deception. All oath takers who refuse to act immediately on these truths laid out above will be deemed guilty of high treason against the living people of Eire and will be brought to bear. As illegal name fraud is exposed, all contracts are deemed null and void now and then. All the sovereign men, women, and children creator-given unalienable rights are in full force and effect, and all assets held in trust for the living men, women, and children of Eire will be delivered immediately. The truth of these deceptions, which are known to many, will be made known to all immediately on a national and an international basis. This is declaration of truth from me, creator, given name Peter, born onto the land of Limerick, Eire, on February 1972, into the family of O'Shea Khan. As truth and love are in my heart, the Creator is on my side. The beautiful children of the Creator will suffer no more, earth-wide. I have taken the sword from the stone, and I have done that. My blood is the proof of life, and I hold it over my pure and true intent. And that's just a little smudge there. You can see that little smudge in my blood. So that's a photocopy, and then my just a PS here in the corner, or just a little, what I would say, fair enough, that's my little mark. In truth, justice, honor, and love, 7th of February. And then I just say, you can visit PJ YouTube channel to hear the discoveries, declarations I have made. PJ, je suis dodo, Behemoth 420 TT. I should add in Aristarchus there as well. But that's what I wrote. I mean, you might say it's futile, and in one sense, it might be, but my true intent is behind it. I went into the paper yesterday, the local Limerick Leader, where I did a lengthy enough interview with a guy. The guy himself is fair enough. Fintan Benton, I can't remember his second name. His card is there somewhere. He works for the Limerick Leader. Yeah, he took notes, and he you know, he recorded the conversation and all this. And I was just wondering, I knew, I said to him at the outset, he wouldn't be allowed to publish any of the stuff that I was talking about. I mean, who's, you know, they're not going to let him. There's a sort of web of connectivity between all these media outlets, and yeah, you don't get to broadcast truth. You don't get to broadcast any of this stuff. Like, you know, even the most simplest of truths for us, you wouldn't get to hear him on any public outlet like that. So, but I went into him yesterday, and he said he's still trying. So, well, who knows what's going to come of that. But again, the declaration is out there. I'll be bringing that into the cops tomorrow. As I said, the police are looking for me. Minor matters. When I found out about the legal name fraud, I'd already my insurance paid for the car, right? But I took it down. So I didn't stop the insurance, but I took it down. I didn't display it. When I went out to collect my son, even though it was time, according to the courts, for me to collect my son, I'm not going to go into say anything about anything like. But yeah, when I turned up, no, my son wasn't there, according to the court. So I could have had recourse there. I mean, you know, because you're breaking a court order. So when I turned up, no sign of my son. Police were called, came over, bullying tactics. What's your name? And I went on about the legal name. And it's illegal for you to ask me, entice me into slavery like this. And then before you know it, you're handcuffed behind your back. Down to the cells. What's your name? Wouldn't give any name, and they took my car then as well, because my car was parked nearby. So they had me on public order and failure to display tax or insurance, right? And there was something else after that now as well. So regarding the public order, I turned up for that in the court, and I didn't say anything. I didn't consent to being the legal name. The judge tricked me. He was kind of like, what's that? I can't hear you. Come a bit closer. So I went in then a bit closer, so you cross the bar then. So when you do that, you're in their helm, and well, you have pretty much no rights. But I didn't consent to anything. €300 fine, so non-paying. I didn't pay that fine. I didn't say anything, didn't consent to anything. So then I guess there's a warrant of some sort, but that's gone back a few years now. So I'm expecting to be sort of held up to all of those different things. So there's just three things, I think. What was the other thing? So yeah, it was non-payment of fine. There's probably another court date as well, just for, yeah, not displaying insurance, something like that, you know. So as I said to the cop yesterday, that's what I went into the cops. I wanted to know, in written form, I wanted from them that it was actually, in fact, legal for me to use the legal name. And I wanted it in written form, and that, yeah, by using it, none of my sovereign, unalienable, creator-given rights were put into any jeopardy. So this is what I wanted, but they wouldn't give that. They said it all right. They wouldn't give it. And I said, fair enough. I mean, if anything comes of this, can I say that you said this to me, you've given me, and then they're backing down then, you know, so they won't put anything in writing. So that's what I was sort of getting cleared up. So they understand my position. So when I go in, it'll be to, you know, retain the same position. So we'll see what happens with that. Who knows how it's going to turn out, but it's fine. It's fine, right? This is all sort of coming to a head anyway. I mean, yeah, this can't sort of continue. Not for me in my personal life anyway, and just in general, this is horrible in every level, right? And I was just saying to someone today, saying to the cops as well, any system will put children to the horrific torture that they've been put through with cancer, right? Instead of inundating their bodies with cannabis oil, something as simple as that. You're dealing with evil, and by all accounts, by all sort of descriptions of the word, you're dealing with evil. You're dealing with a dastardly system, and well, so just wanted to read that out, and well, that's what I said. I just want to come on tonight as well, so I probably won't be doing the hangout for a while, or who knows. But I'll try to get out a few videos, a few concise. Honestly, there's so many videos I could do, and that's why when I do come on these hangouts, it's sort of all over the place, because I don't know which. I could pick one area and just go, right, focus on that here. But I'm not good at that. So maybe it's good to be able to put together a few short and concise videos, get the message across, because there's certainly a lot of stuff I can talk about. And well, as I say, Aristarchus is the ultimate answer. So yeah, it's around us. It's everywhere. It's omnipresent, and it's within us as well. It's a fractal. This is what it's all about. I'll show you a picture. Let me bring that up. So we share my screen. Okay, hang on. Right, my whole screen is shared. So let me show you that picture. Just to show you, I hope everything is coming through okay as well. But watch this. This is funny. This is what I'm talking about. You don't know how to, a slight sort of alteration in perspective will have you, no, that's not it, hang on. Will have you flipping things inside out here. This is it. So if I was to bring this up, let me go full screen here. If I was to just show you that picture, I know there's writing in the center here, and I have it turned. So let me just turn it upside down. So you can see by looking at it at this angle, this is Aristarchus here, right? This is Herodotus, which is Aristarchus. It's the same thing. It's just a shadow of the former self, right? This is Aristarchus as well. All there is, I pointed out this the last time, is just this sort of crater, like with the limb extending from it, and that's your Q. That's your Q, as in Q for Queen, but it's also the Sky Q that's been out. This tells, and you have even the dot with the Sky Q TV. You have the dot in the center, but this is Prince up here. Again, another artifact. So as you look at that, right? Let me zoom in a small bit. Doesn't it look like you're delving into a hollow, doesn't it? So you're delving into a hollow. Look at this. This is what I talk about, the serpent of NASA. There it is here. Look, there it is at the top. This is Prince, Crater Prince, but it's not a crater. As I said, it's a reflected artifact of the same thing here. You can find this down here. I don't. Well, I have better representations of Aristarchus here, so I'm not going to go through that. But you can find that down here. Pretty much, this is just around the top here. Around here, you can see how it thins out here. This is all you're looking at here, and it fades to nothing here. But this is an imprint. I don't know how you're going to describe it. It's like a reflected artifact. It's like all of these what are called domes. Look at this here. That's Aristarchus reflecting. It's like a fractal reflection. So this is everything associated with Aristarchus will be associated with this miniature version of Aristarchus, and this is what all of these little tiny dots are. They're fractal repetitions of the same thing. But my point is, and you see here, look at these overlays and imprints. These are all given names. These are all given in terms of the moon descriptions. These are all the scarred landscape, of millions of years of development. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're fucking artifacts. They're reflected artifacts. So you can look here. After turning it around, this is where I'm saying a slight change of perspective. Now, doesn't it look like it's protruding, right? So let me just flick it again. So all I'm doing is just rotating it 90 degrees. Now looking inwards, right? And there you have the flame of liberty inside. That's not a great depiction of it. That's the flame of liberty inside, or the heart center. This is what it represents, the flame of liberty. It represents that infinite heart center, right? Here we have the serpent as well. Look, I'm just going to call it the serpent. This is called a valley, the Valisi Valley, I think, the Valisi Valley. But look at the way this looks like it's imprinted as well. It's like a hollow in the sand. But as I rotate it around, like a hollow in the soil. So look, again, I think we'd all agree here. Yeah, you could throw a penny in there and it's not going to pop out. But as I rotate it, hang on, let me rotate. Now you get a better view here of actually all there is. Look. And actually, that's an interesting picture. See all these little jagged lines. Remember, we were looking at the sun. I pointed out the sun and the jagged nature of it above the atmosphere. This is what you're seeing. All these patterns. This is so the energy has been broadcast up through Aristarchus, and all of these patterns. Let me just show you in clear terms. I think I have one out already. No. Okay. Let me just show you in clear terms what these are. sun flares they're called, but they're not sun flares. Here we see it. Look, perfect. You see it here? Let me just compare it. You're not going to see it. I've done this comparison before. I don't need to go over it again. I've done it with it in a different sort of setting. Let me zoom down. Yeah, here we go. Look. See that? This is what we're looking at, friends. This is the sun. This is Aristarchus. This is the sun. See all these scars here. This is what's causing this pattern. And if you look at this here, let me just bring that up a small bit. That's just a snapshot from a high altitude balloon footage. Think of in terms of 3D. You have something emanating from a sort of depressed area, you know, as I say, like a crater. So this is the pattern, and you can see it here. There's a certain sort of span to it. It is limited. You can see the shades and the shadows here. This is all we're seeing, and this is all there is. And you can see the limb here. This is the limb. This is the arm of the Q, if you will. But if you just go around the outline, you can see it yourself. This is all there is, and this has just been reflected again and again. That's what's happening. This is the dividing line where it reflects on itself. So everything this side is just a reflection of this, right? Or I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's not a reflection as we term reflection, but it is an artifact, a reflected artifact of this central thing here. All of these things are just, again, reflected artifacts. It's the same crater been fractaled, right? And each of the small ones are tiny dots then as well. All of the stars, the planets, everything is to be found within Aristarchus itself. And you can see the pattern. Now, let me bring up a picture that I had. I have definitely this here. This is the moon. This is the moon shine. So this is just go to a Google search. Will get you the same thing. I just typed in moonshine. Look at how very similar it is here as well. Look at how it is very similar dispersal pattern, not quite as distinguished, but as you say about the moon, you can see it's not particularly you know, it's not particularly spherical. You'd hardly describe that as the most spherical object in the universe, right? But, well, as I say, the sun is a direct reflection of Polaris or Aristarchus. Polaris is your clue. Polaristarchus. That's the central point. We know everything revolves around Polaris, as Polaris does its small circle as well. So the fact that it does that small circle appearing in our sky, that manifests then throughout our realm, right, in terms of the reflective nature of the barrier, the light show that we are witnessing, and everything is a fractal representation of the same thing. So you are literally dealing with a kaleidoscopic effect of the same thing. So that's what we got to get into our brain. All there is, friends, is Aristarchus. All there is. That's all there is. And I have revealed that. I have revealed that, or let's just say it might be revealed to me. This has just been the culmination of my journey, right? In one sense. But as I say, these things are known. These things are known. Arthur C. Clarke, that was another great one. Again, Arthur Charles Clarke, there you have Aristarchus within the name. As I said, Aristarchus, an anagram of see Arthur as is. And we already talked about Arthur Dent, Arthur transcendental meditate. So Arthur Dent, Thor frequency, with his frequency hammer, you are Thor, Arthur, right? So these all of these things connect. We know now that light is not within the source itself. Light is an effect. Light is an effect, or divine light anyway. Light as we know it is an effect. And yeah, we're dealing with sound energies, if you want to put it like that. We're dealing with wave energies. And we talked about how the science has described light as both a wave and a particle. Well, it is in one sense. Light is an effect, and as I say, when these energies interact with the atmosphere, the water particulation, then you have solar luminescence on a mass scale, and we experience that as light. So light becomes both a particle and a wave. But yeah, it all goes back. This is the moonshine, and again, look at the pattern. This pattern, people better than me at doing this sort of stuff will be able to match this pattern. And look, you can almost see it, but you can see it in better places. Let me go on the moon. That's the moon. That's the moon itself. But let me just go to the HD moon to show you. There you go. This is the same thing. So what you're seeing, you can see the pattern. It's almost like the flower of life here, actually. See the pattern associated with the moon, but Tycho, it's a bit clearer. There's so many places you can go. Look at Tycho here. Yeah, perfect. Look at that. Look at this. That is almost perfect now. So Tycho located on the moon, we can see this pattern around this darker shade. It almost matches up perfectly. Look at the emanating lines, patterns that are coming out of it. Yeah, this is what we're looking at. And again, everything is fractal. It's sort of, it's difficult to wrap your brain around to start with. So in the whole, we're seeing the part, and in the part, we're seeing the whole. This is the thing. You can go to any one of these craters, any one of them. This one here, for instance, just Aristarchus. It's reflected. You can, all these little dots around. I've been doing this, again, it's Aristarchus. Here we have, remember I was talking about Herodotus? There it is again. There's Herodotus. Let me just show you how it is. Even though Herodotus is said to be over here, look. Herodotus is said to be, well, I've just rotated it around, I think, here. Let me just see. It's normal. Let me just rotate that back. Yeah, here we go. Herodotus is, yeah, here we go. Is Aristarchus. Right. This is said to be Aristarchus. This is said to be Herodotus. And let me just show you. This is what we're seeing here. So this is a close-up of it. Let me just rotate that around to get the orientation better. So we're just pretty much looking at that. That's what we're looking at here. Right? See it here. So again, as I say, all the rays is this Aristarchus, and this is a reflected artifact. So is the valley, and so is Prince, this crater up here, Crater Prince. But the whole these three, or this whole valley, if you want to call it that, seems to be reflected around. So when you look at Herodotus here, you also see it here. Here, look, you can see it, look. There you go, hang on, that shouldn't be there because that's over by Aristarchus. So this is the same. This is the same here. Even this, look, this artifact, reflected artifact, this is not real. This is just an overlay, right? This is a visual image that we anticipate is real. But that's what this is manifested here. Let me go to a different place. So that's the same, that's exactly the same as any of the black. Here we go again. Look, you can see the distinctive notch cut out of it. All the same. Let me go down here. Yeah, you can see them all over the place. This one here, this one, this bigger one here, all the same. Aristarchus here. The whiter one's Aristarchus. So you can see that a few, the different components are being reflected. Here we go. This is the same again. Here we go. This is Herodotus. Same thing again. So as I say, everything is sort of been overlaid, and you have to, and same again here. Look, another. This is it. It's already a kaleidoscopic effect, fractaling kaleidoscopic effect. I already pointed out lots of different anomalies, but yeah, you're looking at the same thing. So when we look at this here, Copernicus, well, we're just looking at this, just been reflected around in a different place, right? Yeah. Same thing here. This L, apparent L, which I identified before. These are Magellanic clouds. So in case you don't remember, in case you weren't here at the time, I identified these as what is described by science as the Magellanic clouds, and they are. They are. I walk my way through it. These are said to be the Magellanic clouds. I think this is the large Magellanic cloud, and this is said to be the small Magellanic cloud. But in actual fact, these are both Aristarchus. These are both Aristarchus. So what seems to be happening is the moon itself is reflected. Well, again, it's a bit complicated. Wrap your brain around. Aristarchus is everything. When we look at the night sky, we're looking at the moon as it's displayed, right? But the moon itself is a kaleidoscopic sort of display of the face of the sun. So yeah, you're dealing with a hall of mirrors. How long have I been saying this is a hall of mirrors? And yeah, it's the same thing. What we have in each corner is Aristarchus here. Let me show you. Oh yeah, this is Aristarchus. Look, you can even trace this. You can. This is the same thing as this, right? It's sort of meeting itself. This is the same thing as this as well. It's meeting itself, and yeah. You can satisfy yourself that that's the case. Here we go. Look, there's a perfect example. Another reflected artifact. There's Herodotus. There is Aristarchus. And here is this aspect here. Look, this one here. So look at that. That's perfect now. That's a perfect illustration. Here's this. This one is this one here, and this one here is this one here, even though they're supposed to be over here, totally separate and complete, separate and distinct areas of the moon, the solidity of the moon. This is the same thing, right? Yeah, it takes a bit to wrap your brain around, but once you get it, it's easy. It's easy. All of these different things here. This, yeah. See this Herodotus and this group of whatever you're going to call. These are just more reflected artifacts. This is the same thing as this here. Here and this collected artifacts. They're not real. They're just reflected, but in a really real sort of manner. It really does appear as if it's real. Yeah, we have it repeated. Here's more Herodotus. It's the same thing, as I say. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is. It really is. But as I said, everything comes back to the same thing, Aristarchus. See Arthur as is. And yeah, we're being hinted. The Beatles told us about it. The Beatles told us about it in kaleidoscopic sort of version. The first character we're introduced to in 2001: A Space Odyssey is Moon Watcher. So you've been told to watch the moon. Now, and as I say, let me, I hope everything is coming through okay. I don't want to have too many things opened up. Yeah, everything seems to be coming through grand. Let me, oh yeah, that was another good find. Here we go as well. Look, they're telling you. This is just a snapshot from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And this is where the monoliths to be found in the moon. And you can see the symmetry here, right? So we have a ramp coming down and a ramp coming down this side. So there's a sort of an overall symmetry, and the monoliths to be found in the very center. But I noticed this aspect here. It's like a C, right? You see it? Let me just zoom in a small bit. Here we go. I noticed this aspect here. And of course, everything is purposely placed. But what is it? And look, I just noticed this now. Look at the serpent. Look at this pattern as we're familiar with. Let me just show you how that manifests in clouds here. Hopefully no problem finding this now. Oh no, just I was talking about the Magellanic clouds. Here we go. Look at that, just to show you. Yeah. And this is where I went through it. Magellanic clouds, and the pathway is there. So Aristarchus, but I didn't know about that back then, but I know it now. So that just came up there. Let me just bring up the picture of the yeah, I remember I brought this up last night. Perfect. I'm just looking over it again. This is called a fall streak cloud. Fall streak. So this mysterious sort of happening in the midst of a cloud. Look at how three-dimensional it looks. First of all, this is just an expression of Herodotus. This is just the one Herodotus I picked. And if you go through this with a fine-tuned comb, you'll see it's almost like a perfect match. So this is what's happening. It's expressing through the clouds. This pattern is emanating and expressing through the clouds. You can almost see it, and you can see that clearer actually in other examples. But you can almost see this light wispy. It's almost like a baseball glove centered to here. But look at the ridges around and the patterns that it displays. As you go along the outside, this is what you can see. That's not what I was looking for. These are called fall streak, F-A-L-L-S-T-R-E-A-K clouds. So that's that mystery solved. Science is busted. Science tells you that what's happening here is you have supercooled water particulation, water particles, and it's only when an impurity enters the fray that everything sort of expands or freezes sort of instantaneously and spreads instantaneously, and then you're left with this massive gaping hole. Well, nonsense. Also, look at the clouds here. Look, see the circular pattern. See the circular patterns emanating. That's all there is circular patterns interacting with one another. So that's solved. You know, that's solved. for me. You can find a better example, do it yourself. But what I was looking for is this. If I find it now. Here we go. Yeah, there's your NASA serpent. And again, that's all this is. Look. That's all this is. Here. This area here. Let me just rotate that around. See it? I walked through that the last time. That's all it is. It's a perfect match. But once again, this is not a separate thing to Aristarchus itself. That runs from here around to this side here. So yeah, I just noticed that here on, there you go. Stanley Kubrick giving us clues, but yeah, you see this pattern, you can't miss it. Go tomorrow, you'll see it everywhere. It's just a continual pattern being expressed. And as I say, you're looking for circles. That's how you will identify it. You take a sort of a grander look at it. But this was the interesting part here that I came onto this for. Yeah, look at how that sticks out here. I've seen that so many times at this stage. Here we have what I call this area here. There's the moon. Just here, look. Actually, there it is again. Look at that. Look at this line here. So this is what I was going to point out. That's what that is. See how it's kind of, you can see it kind of represented, but I just noticed it here. So what I said was, there it is here, look. See it? See it? That's Prince. That's the crater Prince as it's adjacent to Aristarchus. And here we have Aristarchus, Prince. Just different sizes, right? Different sizes. I've already pointed it out. Here we go over here again. Look, there it is again. Exactly the same, just a slightly different angle, slightly different perspective. But here's Kubrick telling us. So right next to the pit, let me just rotate it the way they're lined up. There we go. That's perfect. Let me just reduce that down to size. See what it's trying to tell you. So here's the sea. I just noticed that as well. Here's the sea. There's Aristarchus. And there's where the monolith is found in the center. Right now, let me just show you the monolith. So I can do that. I better get rid of a few. I get rid of this image here. Let me show you the monolith in. I don't want to get bogged down in this now because I don't want to be on all night. Off the cigarettes at the minute, and off the weed, off the cigarettes, never was a big drinker, so no problem, no problem at all. Here's a picture of Aristarchus, just to show you. There you go, folks. That's all there is. There's the prince again. Look up here. That's what we're seeing. That's where what do you call it? This is just a copy of this as well. It's a copy of this again. We're just dealing with the same thing again and again. And I'm, I'm not proving anything because I know this is something everybody, there's certainly enough interested people out there. So this is something that you can clarify for yourself, and people with greater skills will be able to do a much better job than I can ever do in showing this categorically, that you are dealing with the one thing repeated over and over again. And I just wanted to find the monolith to show you how it corresponds with Aristarchus, and Stanley Kubrick was letting you know. So unless you had a context, you wouldn't know. Hang on now. You just wouldn't know. It's one of those things. But then once you know, then it appears everywhere. Then you can see it everywhere. Way too many pictures here. There we go. But I know there's one there that I have the comparison done as well. Here we go. Here's the pit. This is the pit where the monolith is found. Remember, this is the most famous movie ever by an insider who has the keys, has the solution. And if I was to bring up Aristarchus, actually, hang on. There's a better. What I did was, I'm sure there's a side by side. I actually picked an appropriate shot. I'm sorry, I won't get bogged down in this now. Is that here? Oh, here we go. Look, this is. I was just looking at this. It said UFO sightings are daily at this stage. Herodotus. This is what they were looking at here. Herodotus. You can see. You can see the same pattern. Explains so much, right? Everything's explained. That's what I meant to say about this guy. Look, this guy. This is Ted Cruz. So I started on about just to finish that. Ted Cruz quizzing Mark Zuckerberg, who's a CGI man for me, absolutely. This guy turns out to be Phil. Any people who know anything about poker, Phil Hellmuth. This is Phil Hellmuth. I couldn't believe it. I said, for fuck's sake, this is Phil Hellmuth. Bring up a picture of Phil Hellmuth and bring it next to this guy, and you'll see that they're one and the same. So people acting their part, left, right, and center. This is Phil Hellmuth with a suit on. You're normally, let me just bring Phil Hellmuth up just in case you don't know who the hell that is. Phil Hellmuth. Here he is. Poker player. Now, I'll just find the best picture of him now. This one will do. Okay. So another first from the dodo, Phil Hellmuth, Ted Cruz. They're one and the same, and well, as I say, all acting their part. And this is very clear. Look at the ears here; they're very, very close. I didn't even. Let me just save that picture. Actually, let me bring it up. I suspected already. Save image. Ah, shit. Oh, here we go. That's a better one. This is these people are deciding your lives, right? These people are legislating for you. The legal name, that is, anyway, that is you. And the nose is identical. And there's actually a scar on the chin. You can't see it here. There's a scar on the chin. You can barely see it here. But these are one and the same. The nose is identical down to the marks. So I'm thinking that they didn't need to do too good a job on this guy because too many people wouldn't have made the connection. The ears are pretty good here. The ears are very good there, actually. But as I said, completely outside the realm that you'd expect to see him. And here we have him legislating for you, dear people of America. These clowns, these people need to be stopped right now. They have no authority. This is all a joke. So Phil Hellmuth, Ted Cruz, right? And I suspected that another poker player, Phil Ivey, is Tiger Woods as well. So these people are just rolled out for us. They rolled out for us. I heard before mention of with Tiger Woods, very robotic. He was said to be like Phil Hellmuth is a very robotic type of character as well. But you can't rule out these mechanized golf balls that helped Tiger Woods. You can easily see it. You know how they could steer the golf ball into the hole. And make him win tournament upon tournament if he's promoted. So yeah, just leave that there. Phil Hellmuth. Ted Cruz. So let's stop. They're called out. Let's stop it. Get onto your, just put them under notice. Just say we know the fraud. Put I don't know who you'd write to, but put them under notice. We know that Ted Cruz is Phil Hellmuth. You're under notice. Cease and desist. It's the best you can do, isn't it? Otherwise, I don't know. So anyway, sorry, yeah, that was just, let me continue on. I was looking for, just looking for, I have it a side by side. So I already picked out a picture to show you that this is damn it. This is exactly what was being presented to us by Stanley Kubrick. Where is it done now? Here it is, here it is, here it is. Okay. Right, you're here. Here, over here, let me zoom in. No, I can't zoom in too far now. Here, over here, down here, down here. This is what we've been shown at the very center. As I pointed out the last time, it's almost as if there's a monolith here. But remember as well, we're dealing with sort of reflected artifacts. So there is overlaying here, and this, for instance, not here. Look at all these little dots down here. These are reflected artifacts, and I'm not sure if this is Aristarchus itself, but it doesn't matter what a crater you pick. It's the same thing. It's just a slightly different angle, different magnification of the same thing, different reflection of the same thing. But yeah, this is uncanny. And there's the eye of providence. Look at the eye here. This eye can be found. It can be found. Hang on. It can be found here. It can be found all over. Here we go. Look in the center here. I know I just drew a few dots here. This was just for myself, joining up points with the Milky Way as we see on the moon, and seeing that it's all an expression of this. But there's the eye. Can you see the eye in the corner here? Just here, and I'll show you where that reflects on the moon in general. I did this the last time. You know where it is now. Just here. You can't miss it when you see it, right? And this is to be found on land as well, actually. You can see this. Go on Google Earth. There we go. Look at that. You can find this many times on the moon, but here it is. Can you see it in the corner here? Amazing. Let's go around this way. Look at that. Look at how it sticks out. Yeah. Look at that. That's the same eye. That's all we're looking at. And it's, look at that. Look at how clear it is. And you can even see this pattern. See the shaded pattern that looks almost like an eyebrow? This can be found as well. Not necessarily here now. I just noticed this in passing. I don't make too much of a deal about it. It's almost like this aspect here, but I don't think it's quite that. I remember we are dealing with fractals here. That's what I started off with. Yeah, but there we go. This hole corresponds to this hole here. Right adjacent to that is this, and all the way along is here. And yeah, this is what Kubrick where he chose to have the origin, or have the monolith turn up, right? So in Aristarchus, and as I say, Arthur C. Clarke, at the same time as the movie was being written and shot, Arthur C. Clarke was said to be writing the novel with help from Kubrick, although he wasn't privy to some scenes within the movie. So this tells us, yeah, they're a team, and we have to read between the lines. As I say, Arthur C. Clarke. C. Arthur is a anagram of Aristarchus, but when C stands for Charles, there we have Aristarchus within Arthur C. Clarke. So brilliant, fascinating, yeah, fascinating. The answers are presented to us. We just have to discern them and understand what we're looking at now. Why did I mention that? Hang on, let me just go back for a reminder. That's where I started off, look. So see the way, as I have it like this, in this orientation, it looks for all the world that we're looking into a crater. This is the wonder of Aristarchus. As I turn it around, there you go. Look at that now. Now it looks like it's sticking out, right? Look, see many different layers. What you got to remember is each layer is a fractal of every other layer. Once you get into the very center, can you see the 8? You can see the 8 as its vague outline. Yeah, you can see that. And as I said the last time, where's that? Hang on. Oh yeah, hang on. Here we go. This was from the movie The Convex Earth Analysis. There we have this. They're letting you know, right? They're letting you know. There we have this center aspect. Hang on, let me move that over here. That's what's represented here. That's why they showed you this within the convex Earth analysis. Here we have the central aspect. This is the lady. This is the Liberty Flame, right? Or what it represents. This is what the Liberty Flame represents, right? That's the very heart of Aristarchus. And here we have the crater rim, I guess. And look at it even in the pattern. You see the claw or the serpent. This is why they showed it. So that whole controlled, completely controlled. The story is contrived. So look for your clues. And so you can see that 8. This is observed. And here we go here. This is it. Remember, they showed us this picture as well. I went through this last time as well. They showed us this picture. This is all they're representing. They're telling you. They're letting you know. Let me just rotate this around. Zoom in. That's sort of closer to it. You can see it. See this pattern that one resembles the other. So yeah, this is all well known. And yeah, fractal. They're telling you about the fractal nature as well. This is your key to understanding what's going on here. So we're looking. We're sort of zooming in on this aspect, and then we're seeing this aspect. This is what they're telling us, right? But we just have to make that journey, I guess, in our own brain and understand that this is what's happening. Because you would say this is what I mean about the craters on the moon. You would say that this is a different section altogether than this, but no, it's not. It's the same. Not necessarily this, but it is the same generally. That you're looking at sort of different magnifications, right? Different aspects of it. So we have to make that equation. And well, I'm happy enough because I've already made that equation that I know what's going on. So you need to understand that yourself. Well, I was looking at this earlier on. Sunspots. Aristarchus. Here we have it again. I see. I have so many things. I have so many things to. Which one did I compare that to now? I compared it to a few different things, and it shows up better in some things than it does in others. But you see this actually. Yeah, there we go again. Let me just bring up that picture of the moonshine. You see the pattern around it? It's the same here, right? Same sort of exterior pattern. And you can equate this with there we go. If I rotate that again, there we go. So this is this, and you can even see it. Look at you can see the jagged lines. Remember, showing you the 8 at the center here. This is what this is representing as well. You can see it. It's fractal, and you've got to understand that the little is in the large, and the large is in the little. So this pattern is associated with just the overall outline, of Aristarchus. All of these then are. And they're sunspots, by the way. These are said to be sunspots. All of these patterns then are just associated with these artifacts down here, these shapes. And I'm sure I'll leave it to someone else to find them. Here we go. Actually, look, there's a good candidate here. Look at the way that aspect here sort of goes up and curves around. Very, very close. And let me see. There was some area. Hang on. I'm not sure if that was the image now where I equated to this as well. This sort of sticky outy bit. But yeah, that's good actually, isn't it? Look at the way. So this is Herodotus, and you can see it sort of curves down towards the main body, and then we can see is sort of the angle we're looking at. And that's not necessarily a great match there, but here, look, actually, look at the shine here. Look, this is a, what's the name of this valley? It's not a valley, it's just an overlapping. Look at this shine here. It's these sort of parallels. So this is what's going on. This is what's going on. Now that you know it, someone with more patience than me and greater sort of computer skills will be able to easily find these artifacts. You'll find them all on the moon or within this sort of Aristarchus region. Absolutely. And yeah, you can see how this, which is Copernicus, look, it's a reflection of this, but it's just it's a sort of magnified reflection of this overall area. Okay, what I didn't even mean to do any of this. I hope everything's coming through okay now. What I wanted to do was the monolith, talk about the monolith that was found in 2001. Yeah, that seems to be coming through grand. Seattle monolith. So let me go through this. So since we were talking to monolith. So let's read this. Because remember, 9/11 is at the heart of everything. I've already connected 9/11 to the dodo, to the flat earth. It's all connected, right? There's no escaping that. So let's just read this. I came across this yesterday. On New Year's Day, 2001, a replica of the monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey appeared on Kite Hill. Now, remember the words George Bush, he was reading I Pet Goat. And actually, I wish, not that I wish, what I would like to do is to, maybe I might do that, I probably have to do it on a separate hangout, just for fear of everything getting removed for copyright reasons. But go through I Pet Goat 2 again with these new eyes. I already made a lot of progress a few years ago with I Pet Goat 2, which is the cartoon, brilliant cartoon. Animation, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Award-winning animation, like Mark Sargent, the creator, said. He just woke up one day and it came to him, right? So yeah, loaded with clues. But I Pet Goat 2 is George Bush was reading I Pet Goat 2, or was looking at I Pet Goat 2 upside down. The children in the classroom were calling out different words, and even though they might have been exactly the same words, they sounded, this is the way they sounded: kite, hit, plane, must. No, kite hit, steel, plane, must. Something like that. So here we have Kite Hill, right? So anyway, on New Year's Day, 2001, a replica of the monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey, appeared on Kite Hill in Seattle's Magnuson Park. Magnuson. Remember, I keep talking about the sun is renewed, is being repaired, right? We're in a broken system, and it's for whether it's part of the game, part of the simulation. We're in a broken system, but there's always this intent to repair the sun. And here we go, New Sun, right? Now, the way I look upon this is G. First of all, G, I pointed out within the heart of Aristarchus, you can see the capital G. This is where I think the Masonic G and its significance comes from, because it's found within the heart, the fractal heart of Aristarchus. But yeah, G, New Sun, right? G, New Sun. And that's what I take from it. I have it up here on Google Earth. Excuse me. I didn't see too many. I was looking at what I was saying to myself. Was there any clues? And these are visual clues that we're looking at, a representation of Aristarchus, and I didn't see too many, but it's possible. That's possible. Actually, let me just go in here a second. I'm not sure if Google Earth is coming up here now, so if it's not too important. Just want to go back here a second, because looking at that anew, it brings some ideas to mind. Here we go. Here's Aristarchus. Let me just bring up Google Earth again. Let's see if there's anything that is reminiscent here. It wouldn't be a million miles away. Wouldn't be a million miles away. Let's Magnuson Park here. This is Aristarchus. This is Herodotus. And then we have the different pathways curving away, and the other pathway curving over here. You might say that's crazy talk. That's okay. As I say, the Earth, our Earth doesn't escape Aristarchus. The Earth is a fractal manifestation of Aristarchus. As I say, Aristarchus is it just expresses in all forms. We are in a wondrous realm indeed, and you definitely have to leave deterministic sort of thinking and science behind. You know, where everything has a box, everything is labeled, everything is determined and solved. No, that doesn't work anymore. Just brought up that just because I can see yeah, I can see some patterns that this especially here, you know, coming along here. But no, anyway, no worries here. Let me just close down a few things. Okay, so Seattle Monument. So this is where it was found. So let's just read on a bit more. Can I just make sure that this comes through? Oh, it is excellent. Google Earth is coming through. So what time is it? 23:16. Anyway, let me talk you through this. So Magnuson Park, so Magnuson Park. The Seattle Monument was a guerrilla art installation by a group of Seattle artists calling themselves Some People. Now remember, this was the 1st of January 2001. Now, anyone who knows anything about 9/11, let me just type in this: monoliths and 9/11. Let's go for a Google image search. So this is how the monolith is centered. Here we go with the Millennium Hotel. So in all of the buildings, when all of the buildings were taken down, and there was one building that was prominent and was, when seen across the river, was in the rubble. There was it was shining, and it was upright, and it was untouched. That was the Millennium Hilton Hotel. And I'm not sure if there's any pictures here. Cruz Forum definitely have pictures somewhere. Let's Roll Forums will have pictures as well. Oh, that's interesting there, isn't it? What's that? Oh, look at that, friends. I mean, now let me just show you this. Let me just show you this picture on the moon. Of Aristarchus. So can you see the circle, and then the sort of the tip, the trail of it? This is the Q-tip, if you will. And here, what's this? Yeah, we have the circle and the Q-tip, and also mentioning the monolith. So again, these things are known. These things are known. This is your hint. But I just wanted to find a picture of. Well, actually, I should have gone just Hilton and 9/11. Millennium Hilton would be better. Probably produce. A better result. But I'm not going to send people to Cruz Forum, but because you probably have to go delving through lots of work, but definitely to be found there somewhere. Here we go. That's a good example. All the other buildings, 9 buildings taken down. So when viewed across the river, in the midst of the destruction, there you have the monolith, the Millennium Hilton Hotel, sticking out tall and proud. Yeah, this has all been played out. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, so the buildings were taken down. Then from across the river, you could see this way. Yeah, in the rubble, in the center, in the heart of the rubble, there you have the Millennium Hilton Hotel. Any clues in Hilton? I'll have to think about that now. But here we go again. This is the point of it. This is representative of the monolith. So intricately connected with 9/11. So here we have this. Is this a good example here? Yeah, it's a perfect example. Look at that. Yeah. There we go. Perfect example. So the rest of the stuff is in ruins, and then this is untouched, been so close to all that destruction, and here it is standing. And again, it marks 2001 marks a massive leap forward in our evolution, if you will, a revolution. Right? We're getting back to the future. Yeah, it's a good picture here as well. So yeah, just in case you're wondering about 9/11. No one died in 9/11. That's not the point of all of this. If you take it literally like the Jesus story, you miss out. You lose the meaning. You lose the meaning. You get caught up in something outside of yourself that you can't understand. Someone is telling you a story, and you're externalizing it, and you are taking somebody's word for it. Whereas in actual fact, all of these things are absolutely pertinent to you. Remember, we are greater, higher powers. So yeah, we everything is there for us to understand, but in a personal sense. So we have to be able to relate to these things personally. No one died in 9/11. It's symbolic in its significance. They took the buildings down in one piece beneath the ground. That's why you have deep memory pools now, and they dismantled them later. But this was a planning. This was planned for as long as the Earth was, as long as the new Earth came into being. And I say that came into being 420 years ago this year, when the dodo bird was said to be discovered. Dodo bird represents, first of all, a few things. Most important thing is that our state of division. The do is two in Irish, in Gaeilge. Ever hen, ever do, ever three, ever a car, ever a cuig, ever a she. A do is a do. The animals went in 2 by 2. Dodo talks about yeah, the division. We are split from ourselves. We have been divided in two. This is what it represents. But also the dodo bird never existed. But it's our clue as well. First of all, telling us about the story within, but regarding the story without, it's telling us about the flat Earth. It encodes the flat Earth map. You need a dodo bird. Latest effort by someone called Julian Penderhume. A dodo bird. Let me just type it in. Julian Penderhume, dodo bird. Q is in the name. Julian Calendar. Arthur Pendragon. The dragon again is associated with the prince, the creator prince. This is the pattern that you can see. Go out tomorrow and you'll see the dragon. You will see, and you won't see it just once. You will see it in its locate the dragon's mouth, right? As I showed you in the clouds. Locate that tomorrow in the clouds, and now look for a smaller version. Right? But look close by even to the dragon's mouth and you'll see a fractal version of the same thing. So this is why it's everywhere. Julian Penderhume as in H-U and me, right? So we are of the H, we are of the 8, we are of the highest power, the dodo bird. So the dodo bird never existed, and here it is. So this is your clue. The Oculus mosaic beneath the WTC Center. So we're talking about the WTC Center where the monolith was to be found. The Oculus mosaic is your flat Earth map. It's an oblate spheroid, if you will, in 2 dimensions. It's a rugby ball shape. It's an oval shape. Oval, right? Oval. An oval shape. And it's the easiest jigsaw piece you'll ever do in one sense. You have 7 pieces, but you have to know what to do with them. And while I know what to do with them, I probably should get around to putting that together because it's pretty easy, and I'm absolutely certain it's going to be accurate as well. We were told that the dodo bird was found with 3 parts. You can see how South America, the tip of the beak here, South America wraps around to North America. Africa would be over here by the rump. As Asia wraps around the side, and then we have Europe close enough to the wing, and then we have the North Center underneath here. There we have Australia then in the form of the parrot. So yeah, this is where Julian Penderhume comes into things, and well, that ties that. And as I said, that Oculus, just type in Oculus mosaic. I'll do that now while we're here. I haven't thought about this in ages. Mosaic. Here we go. I'm sure people looking, this is what it is. And here we have Jones. It's a Jones Ginzel, Ginzel as well. So these are the creators. Joe, is it Jones? We were just talking about Joneses, right, earlier on. But there you go, the easiest puzzle you'll ever do, in one sense. There we have the Earth. It's oval. It's an oval shape, rugby ball shape, and this is the map of the Earth. Now you just need to find the appropriate placement. This is the outer rim, the outer barrier, right, where the barrier meets the land, meets the waters beyond. Then you have the Antarctic ice ring, right, which is kept held at bay by the sun's path. We have the Tropic of Capricorn. This is the outermost path that the sun travels. One day a year, the sun will go exactly along this path, as projected into the sky, of course, the sun's reflection, and then it will return back in. This is the equator. This is when we have equinoxes, spring and autumn, when the sun is over the equator, and then we have the Tropic of Cancer, when we have the northern summer. This is what we're coming into now, when we're up in the northern aspects or closer to the north. Then you have the Arctic Circle. Then inside, then you have the boundary. So there's a barrier that this is under. Aristarchus is under, and this is causing all of these reflected artifacts as well. But here in the very center, we have the oculus, right? So what you need to do is, as I pointed out about, let me just zoom in on this. You see what we take as Antarctica here. Well, it's not. It's not Antarctica. You could take that as the frozen over ocean, Arctic Ocean. And we know that the Arctic Ocean has boundaries with 3 continents, North America, Canada, Asia, and Europe. So if you look here, I didn't mean to go into this now. If you look here, there's almost like a slot here that Greenland could fit in. The whole lot of the top of Canada and Alaska fits in along here, right? So you could just slot that in here. Then Asia, sort of swing it around over here, northern Siberia, slots nicely in here and wraps around, right? Wraps around the top. And then we have Europe down here, Scandinavia and Ireland, England, well, a little bit south, sorry, but Scandinavia wraps nicely around here. And that's your centerpiece then. This goes over the very center. And that's where the dodo comes in. Then you've got to overlay the dodo, scale everything up, and then fit the 3 southern land masses, if you will, in and around the dodo. As I said, the tip of the beak seems easy enough. Look at the contour here, even it's very, very close. Australia is also catered for. You even have a horn here. So if we just go back to Julian Pender-Hume's version, you can see the same with the parrot, the Australian parrot. When the dodo is introduced to us in Alice, Chapter 3, Alice in Wonderland, we have a parrot, an Australian parrot, a lorry bird, who's associated with the dodo. It turns out the lorry bird is an Australian Asian parrot. So in a few representations of the dodo, we have this parrot. So again, I think this is our starting point. The tip of the beak and the horn of Australia are a match. So all you're left with is Africa, and where might that slot in? And I even think I found the place. We're pointed to an arrow, tip of the arrow here, I think. So it's that simple. So then everything, so as I say, the dodo bird has to be scaled up because all of these continental masses are correct proportionately, and they wrap around the center, and the sun does its ring around. So this is your flat Earth map. You just need to put it together in an accurate way. And as I say, this is the oculus, the eye, Aristarchus, and here we have the black hole in the center. And look at the emanating patterns as well. So anyway, I didn't want to get too bogged down in that, but the clue is in the name with Julian Pender-Hume. This is how the dodo bird is so important. And well, I consider that done. And now look at it. Now look what I'm looking at. Look at the dodo bird, what he's standing on. That could almost be Herodotus, couldn't it? So now that I found out about Aristarchus, I may take, if I may take a closer look at this to see exactly. X marks the spot, right? So you need to be able to place all of these things accurately. So I'm sure that it will fit in like any jigsaw piece exactly. So that's something I need to sort of nail down. But I'm not too bothered as well. I know that this is where we've been led. Yeah, as I was saying to the likes of Fred Jones, this is not about proof in any particular sense. This is our own particular journey, and I don't need to. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. But should I sit down and really nail this down, then there along the lines I'd certainly be going on. The dodo bird never existed, as I say. It was disc covered in 1598. So I take it that that's when the giant tree was, the tree of life was decapitated, and this realm began, this realm of experience. And yeah, 420 years ago this year. That's why the 420 has been associated with cannabis, the doob, the dodo, doob and dodo. It's all about mirroring, D-O-O-B. You just flip one, you just mirror around the center, you get D-O-D-O, doob, dodo. So this is the doob connection. We already talked about that as well, with the origins of the 420 and the whole story attached to it is loaded with clues. I can't remember it now. It was San Rafael School in I think California, and the dodo is the RATHS, right? I think RATHS species. Tesla Truth or Irving is created these type of details, and what a great mind you have, Irving. And you know, for me, I don't respond as often as I should do really to people who do leave comments. Apologies for that, but I do read them, and well, everyone is there putting their own pieces together, right? So. Okay, so we're talking about the millennium. Let me get rid of the Oculus. So there's Millennium Hotel. So yeah, 9/11, forget about the literal. The buildings were empty, pretty much built without floors. They were empty from the start. The fake 1993 bombings was to rid the rest of the tenants and prepare it for the symbolic unbirthing of the division, right? This is what the two twins are, right? Remember, it's the material center as well. The material monetary center, World Trade Center, right? So this is what we have. We have the material and we have the immaterial. So the two towers of division were unbirthed, and in their place is a unified whole. So this is what we're talking about. Now we're back towards reunification, and this is our next step in evolution. So it's all playing out towards that. Difficult as all this is the way I understand it. And yeah, everything is going to be for a reason. And well, I think everything is pointing towards this year. Absolutely, everything is pointing towards this year. And I know when you said that yesterday, Sandra, that it's, you know, it's been such a long way, doesn't it? It's always, this year's always seems to be the year. But yeah, I think Justin, I know the feeling. And but yeah, if I can last it out, I'm absolutely certain that this is. I'm looking at the cloud here. Look at the cloud. Is that Prince, the serpent manifesting? It could be. It could be, because, as I say, it's everywhere. The same clouds that you see in England, same clouds you see in Ireland, same clouds you see in anywhere across the world. It's the same thing manifesting, Aristarchus. So that looks like it. But anyway, that's the monolith. So that's the significance of the monolith. It allows for a leap forward in terms of our own personal growth, understanding, evolution, if you will, evolution of the mind. So I think this is what 2000 represents, and this is why the monolith, it's all been played out. You can even see almost a reflection of this, of the serpent, if you will, in the monolith here as they show it, right? So yeah, that's where the monolith comes into things, and that's how 2001: A Space Odyssey connects with 9/11. So let's just go back to the Seattle monolith, and here we have New Year's Day 2001, so January 1st, 2001, 9 months before September 11th, this on Kite Hill. So remember George Bush, George Bush was Charles Manson, Charles Moon's son, right? So he was reading I Pet Goat 2, or the children were reading that, but they're also reciting a few words: kite, hit, steal, must. So here we have Kite Hill, not hit. Yeah, again in Magnuson Park, or Am-G-Nu-Sun Park is how I read that. Definitely magnetic as well, possibly, but New Sun definitely sticks out with us, right? New Sun. So we're all about something different. The dimensions are 1 foot by 4 foot by 9 foot, or 30 centimeters by 120 centimeters by 270 centimeters. And look what it is. It's a steel sculpture, right? So steel, kite must steel hit. What was that? Kite here, steel must plane, right? So, so here we go. Yeah, and look at the dates as well. So December 30, 2000, foundation poured. December 31st, 2000, monolith erected. January 3rd, 2001, monolith taken by unknown persons and moved to Duck Island in Seattle's Green Lake. Twilight Green, maybe. Actually, that'd be a good one. Let's Green Lake. Let me type in Green Lake. If green, imagine I type in Green Lake here, so that has to be significant. Green Lake, and it must be nearby then, isn't it? Let me just zoom out a small bit. Oh, here we go, Green Lake Reservoir. It's almost like look, I didn't realize. Look how rectangular that is. It's almost like you know where the two twin towers are taken down. We have the memory pools, deep memory pools. Now it's almost like the foundation, isn't it, of the twin tower? This square filled with water. So this is, remember, what do you call it? 9 months before. So that's interesting. Green Lake. Look at that. Look at that. It is almost like the foundation, isn't it? After the building was taken away. I have a picture here, actually. I'll bring it up. Man, I'm going through some stuff tonight, right? I haven't even got through anything. This is what I'm saying. I haven't even here we go. Let me just rotate that around. There we go. Look at that. That's damn close now. Look at how close that is. All right. So, as I say, if you're following, this monolith appeared 2001, January 1st. And yeah, look at how reminiscent it is of the foundation of the Twin Towers. And the twins, Gemini, I'm talking about the Twin Towers, the moon and the sun. I've talked about this before as well. The moon, the sun, the stars, they're all one, right? So the man's sun, the moon's sun, we're being told again and again, one is a reflection of the other, but again, everything goes back to Aristarchus. Paul Aristarchus is the main emanation. Everything else then are reflected artifacts. The sun is a primary reflection. The moon is the reflection of the reflection, and then the stars and the rest of the system is a displayed reflection of the same thing. So that's how we can find the Milky Way on the moon, and obviously in the sky as well. But yeah, as I pointed out, we are dealing with fractals, and you're talking about not just one Milky Way, but millions and millions of Milky Ways, because it is a fractal representation. But obviously, we only see one. And this is why the Milky Way disappears as well for a few months or lots of weeks of the year, because again, we're dealing with rotating reflected artifacts of a contemporary. But let me continue here. So the man and moved. Oh, hang on. There's a Duck Island. So let me just have a look at a Duck Island. In Duck Island, where's that? Let me see. What? Duck Island. Is it in the middle of the lake? It's a Green Lake. I can't seem to zoom in here, and I hope this is coming through okay, is it? Is that coming through okay? Oh, hang on. There's a Duck Island. Let me. Yeah, that seems to be fine. Let me just see that's coming through. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry now about chat. Because I'm just. Yeah, look at this. It seems to be a bit blurry here. So if I type in Duck Island here. Now I take it to it. I'm just looking for the shape, really. Island. Search. Right. Oh, whoa. Okay, there's a little bit of, I have too many things open. Let me just try to close a few things. Close that. Clad Serpent, close that. Sun Tree, yeah, close that. Oh, the sunspots, that's a great find. Sunspots, they can all be found. Moonshine, excellent find as well. Lots of good finds here. Oh, I never even showed you that one. Look at, oh, I'll keep that for a bit. Oh, I'll keep the rest. So hopefully that's coming through a bit better now. Let me see. Let me just zoom out a bit. So why would they move to Duck Island? Actually, look at the very circular nature at the end. I wish that was a bit clearer now, but look at this. This is very interesting, isn't it? And this curving path immediately reminds me of Aristarchus, but they obviously did that for a reason anyway. I'm not going to have too much luck here, I think, zooming in, because I think I have too much stuff open, and I only have a little laptop as well, you know what I mean? But there isn't too much memory. So let me continue on. So just forego that for a second. Anyway, January 5th, 2001, some people come forth to claim the monolith from Duck Island. The monolith is stored under the Fremont Bridge while plans are made to install it semi-permanently at Magnuson Park. January 16, 2001, monoliths reinstalled in Magnuson Park. So this is all symbolic of something. So you can go and try and read between the lines yourself. But look at the date here, January 16, 2001, 1/16/2001. 9/11 in reverse and upside down. March 2001, the monolith removed from the park in time for kite season and moved to a residence in Ravenna. And 2002, monolith moved to Bedrock Foundry in the Interbay area. Okay, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let me just type that into Google. But can you see how great a story has been told here? So you need to sort of pay attention, put all these pieces together. So that's reminded me of, I'll play that actually now. I'll play that now while I have the chance because it seems very appropriate. We were just talking about Duck Island. Radiohead, as I talked about, being a flat earth band, but intimately connected. We couldn't understand this location, right? Okay. Bedrock Foundry. Okay. Interbay. Who's we, man? We couldn't understand this location. I'm sorry, Dave. I can't do that, Dave. Interbay areas. Let me just see where the Interbay area is. I guess Seattle Bay or something, but okay. As the final resting place for the monolith. So that'd be interesting just to look into that itself. But let me go back to that. So yeah, January 16, 2001, monolith reinstalled at Magnuson Park. Radiohead being a flat earth band, but also intimately connected with 9/11. Their album Kid A is a soundtrack to the 102-minute movie we were presented with on 9/11. And it finishes up with No Sound number 10. I've sang that loads of times. And wide, sleeping pills. Help me get back to your arms. Cheap snacks and sad films help me get where I belong. I think you're crazy, baby. I think you're crazy, baby. Stop sending letters. Letters always burn. It's not like the movies. They fed us on little white lies. I think you're crazy, baby. I think you're crazy, baby. Beautiful angels torn apart at birth. Nameless and lifeless, I hardly recognize you. I think you're crazy, baby. I think you're crazy, baby. I will see you in the next round. Beautiful song. Number 10. Kid A, song number 10. Guess what? It's called Motion Picture Soundtrack. So if 9/11, if Kid A was the soundtrack to a 102-minute movie we saw 9/11, we didn't see anything live. Everything is just pre-recorded, right? They took the buildings down safely behind the scenes in the symbolic, ritualistic sense. But yeah, we were presented with the drama that we took literally. Remember, one interpretation of the monolith, Rob Ager tells us it's the movie screen, right? So our reality, our truth is presented us via the movie screen. So this is one interpretation of it. But yeah, motion picture soundtrack, song 10. 10 is 1 0. Remember, we talked about the theta earlier on, the 1, the countable, and the 0. Well, the immaterial, if you will. No such thing as 0, right? Funny enough, in the song itself, they leave out the third verse. So on the album, you don't hear the third verse, which is, I think, they're giving it away then, right? So when you listen to it in a different sense, there you find the beautiful angels torn apart at birth, right? Limbless and lifeless, I hardly recognize you. I think you're crazy, maybe. I think you're crazy, maybe. I will see you in the next life, right? I've talked about this before. If we knew what was to come, I think maybe we would all just exit this hardship. But there has to be a reason behind everything. And well, I think Radiohead are playing their part. That's not the song I wanted to sing though, because I was thinking about Duck Island. Listen to this. This is another Radiohead song called I Will. So I'll just do this briefly. I've done this before as well. So listen out for Duck Island, and I'll explain what's going on here. I will lay me down in a bunker underground. I won't let this happen to my children. Meet the real world coming out of your shell. White elephants sitting down. I will rise up. Little baby's eyes, little baby's eyes, little baby's eyes. Radiohead, did you hear that? Actually, very interesting as well. Bunker. We talked about, can we say that the monolith in 2001 was found within a bunker in the heart of Aristarchus, right? But he says, well, we were talking about this earlier on, weren't we? With the, I won't let this happen to my children. Meet the real world coming out of her shell with white elephants and sitting ducks. So that's Duck Island here, but white elephants, where does that? Well, what's that about? Well. I will rise up. That's the meet the real world coming out of her shell. This is telling you about the flat earth, right? And representation, the turtle shell or the turtle. On the back of the turtle, we have the elephant, and then we have the flat earth disc. And this face in the disc is a duck or a dodo. But there we have Duck Island. This is just a connection that I thought in regards to 9/11 with Radiohead. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're all interconnected. Anyway. Excuse me, construction. The monolith was fabricated by Louis Raffler at Seattle's Black Dog Forge. It was a hollow structure measuring 1 by 4 by 9 feet, constructed of 16-gauge steel and L-beams, rebar protruding from the bottom to attach the monolith to its foundation. Estimates of the weight range from 350 pounds to 500 pounds. The foundation consisted of 4 steel tubes connected by rebar, was buried in the ground and embedded in concrete. When the monolith was erected, quick-set epoxy was poured into the tubes and the rebar at the bottom of the monolith was inserted into the tubes. Funding, the overall cost for constructing the monolith was approximately $250. That seems like a pretty minimal amount, right? But as I say, this is all a narrative, so we look for the clues. The majority of the money for the monolith was raised at the Apes of Wrath Mexican wrestling party at Rocket Science Studios on Seattle Westlake. I mean, $250 is nothing, right? I mean, anyway, additional money was raised through the sale of the I Support the Monolith t-shirts and unsanctioned sidewalk bake sale on Broadway, a private screening of 2001 Space Odyssey, and a benefit concert held at the Speakeasy Cafe in Belltown, right? The bell jar, ring those bells. This is about, we're talking about that, the Marble Arch. Yeah, we need to ring the bell, ring like a bell, right? That's what you need to get your pineal gland to the dome of the head. Okay, some people, initially the artist creating the monolith had the idea that the public would never know where the monolith came from or who constructed it. That changed after the monolith was removed from the park and found on Duck Island. Artist Caleb Shaber came forward as a spokesman for Monolith, announcing a group of artists named some people responsible for the art. Shaber later had a duplicate of the monolith made for himself, and in April 2001 ran for mayor of Seattle. No other information was known about some people until 2 years later when the Seattle Times ran an article about the monolith's journey around the city. Chris Ludwig finally admitted to reporter Tyrone Beeson that he, Titus Group, and Eric Luschner had the initial idea for the project, and about 50 other people were involved. 50 other people involved, 250 stake, $5 each, right? So why would you need to raise any money, like, you know, anyway. So yeah, again, I don't think any of this is true. So we need to, if you're so interested, you could try and decode what might be said here, but well, fundamentally, we're dealing with something otherworldly in all of this, you know. So we are we are preparing for a leap, a major leap forward. I think back to the future, right? So this is the idea. And well, for 20 years since the discovery of the dodo, I think it's about right. What is it now? 17 years, 2018, 17 years after 2001. 1 and 7 is 8. So there's your 8 reference. I wonder if there's any significance in the coordinates here. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I wonder, Seattle, AT&T, I talked about this before. Oh gosh, CTTLE. Okay, I talked about that with the high cube and the TT, and it's all about the haughtier aspects, right? So Seattle, isn't someone else? Is it Mark Sargent from near Seattle as well, as far as I'm aware? So someone might comment on that in the chat. Okay, I better go to the chat, man. I'm sorry about not visiting now, and I know I sort of talked a whole hell of a lot there, just sort of getting it all out, really. Riddle me this. I would love to know how I'm supposed to provide tangible evidence of what lights in the sky are, and what going to school has to do with 3 years. I've heard the same shit over it, and it depresses me. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Riddle. Who you hearing the same shit from? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, are you talking about the old guard, like the same people who were pushing the solidity in the sky in terms of the distance and the structure of stars and moon and the sun? We can rule the shit out. It's all nonsense. And as I say, as where everything goes back to Aristarchus. I can't say any more than that. I'm not. It's not that I, you know, the words might mean nothing to most people, but it's when you have the desire to sort of get an answer, you know, then I think the answer is simple. The answer is not very difficult at all. We're dealing with a kaleidoscopic sort of effect here of a light show. But as I say, that's just the start. So we understand that we're in this realm. As I said, we have to forego this sort of deterministic attitude that we need to be able to sort of understand and list and prove everything. No, there's a greater story going on here, and well, that's where the individual comes into things. Each one of us is on our own journey, and that's what I have found. Aristarchus is at the heart of everything, and yeah, it's not just an external thing. It pervades everything, and that includes you. So Christ's aura, you are Christ. Christ is within. Christ is without. Christ is everywhere. So yeah, sorry. Any questions in the chat? Let me know. So many things I could talk about, right? Okay. Yeah, thanks for sticking with me here. I've been speaking a lot there. All just the one thing. That's just all about the monolith. You see how you could go on for ages. I could speak for ages and ages about 9/11 in my journey here. As I said, the one thing you have to realize is first get off the literal, right? No one died in 9/11. This is all a fantasy, a fairy tale to facilitate your awakening, right? So you have to. You can get stuck in the crowd. Remember how many times I had to say, I don't know, I listened to just a beat. I couldn't bear it, to be honest. Mark Sargent and Patricia talking last night. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't bear it. And I couldn't even bear reading the chat. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is now. I know this part's been acted, and this is what I keep saying though. I'm not going to blame them or sort of get emotional about it, because I know that they presented clues for you. So now, if you haven't been following the clues, then you'll get stuck in the drabness, right? Well, it's just drabness. It was just weird. I was just going to go, oh, geez, I don't want to do this. And I had exactly the same feeling when I was listening to ISA for a bit tonight, just before I came on. Same feeling. You have PMRs gone, and flat Earth is the stupidest thing ever. You know, saying you could have been 5 years ago, 2 years, 3 years ago. So it's nonsense, waste of time. That's not to say that people don't talk. ISA doesn't talk about different things that are worth hearing, but in terms of that sort of structure, that sort of arrangement, it's not working. And it's the same with the ballers, not yesterday, then with their after party, the circle jerk, that they were all complimenting each other and what a good job they did, how stupid flat earthers are. It's just nonsense to me now. It's stupid. It's just stupid, right? So the pathway has been laid for you. If you don't see it, Mark Sergeant Pepper, that's a clue for you. Well, that's not my business, you know, because it's a massive clue for you. That takes you to the Beatles. That takes you to Alice in Wonderland, where you find the dodo. That takes you to, well, well, Alice through the looking glass, you find a chessboard, and well, we actually, that's a very important thing. I'm thinking about now, the game of chess and all the different pieces are all associated with Aristarchus, all of them, including their not including their design. It's incorporating their design, all the pieces from the rook, the pawns to the bishops, the knights, the queen, the king, all Aristarchus. It's all reflecting that. And we have 64 squares, 8 times 8, right? There's your 8, 8. And I was just looking, let me bring that up, the economist cover, and I think this is where it fits in as well. I haven't looked too much at this, but this is the world in 2018. This is your final puzzle. We already solved the 2015 one. So my thoughts on this are, again, we have to be, like children must become. Look at Trump here, for instance, the way he's pointing across, right? And the last time I had a look at this, I don't think I'm going to be able, it's not that I'm going to be able to do it, I just don't have the, maybe I'll get around to it anyway, but I think it's pretty simple. And what we find is we have 63, so we have 9 times 7 columns, rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows and 9 columns. Now, that gives us 63. A chessboard is 64 pieces, so there's 1 piece missing, right? What I think we need to do is to arrange this into 8 by 8. So in other words, fold this column, the 9th column back along the bottom, so we have 8 times 8, and then whatever will sort of ring around the center. And I was thinking about that actually in terms of the fractal spiraling. I was thinking about that. So I'm thinking, whatever way it will be sort of like a fractal. So you have the answer, the solution in the center, and the pathway will lead around in a fractal circle. But it'll all be got to do with basic and simple things. I've already noticed. From memory, it was about a month or two ago, before I left the last time. This, like, so for instance, plane here, it's pointing here, right? It's pointing at the factory here. The factory here might be pointing at the mountain next door. The mountain is pointing upwards. So see the Taj Mahal is pointing upwards as well. So you're following a path. Trump is pointing, his hair is pointing over this way. So again, in childlike terms, so you know what I mean? So you might go over to here. So the flag isn't pointing anywhere. So you might go over to here, and then the guy is pointing down with his walking stick. That's my idea. It's going to be something that simple, and then it will reveal itself. The answer will reveal it, and I'm going to say it won't be that complicated. It's like the 2015 puzzle. A child could do it, really, once you just get the basic message. And yeah, it'll reveal, I'm pretty sure, something to do with Aristarchus. Aristarchus is the ultimate answer to everything. It is. There's no doubts about it. But as I say, now you have to understand it. Now you have to sort of incorporate it into you and your being, right? And understand that you are the zero and the infinite. This is the fractal nature of things. So let me just show you. Let me show you a few more things. Let me get rid of a few things here. Oh man, there's so much I could sort of show you. This was, I was just looking at stars through a telescope. Aristarchus. Can you see the 8 in the center here? This is our Arcturus, right? The star Arcturus. And I think I made a comparison that I sort of put it alongside. I'm pretty sure I did. Maybe I didn't. Let me just see on ARC. I did. Here it is. Look. So this is Arcturus. See the 8 here? Let me just open that and open with paint. So I just put them side by side. Let me get a bit of a pen here. Or brush would be better. Red is good. See the 8 here? Is that? It does this sometimes. No, there you go. See the 8 here? Now, do you see it here? It's a little bit difficult to see. It's the same, friends. It's the same. It's a manifesting thing. It looks a lot more regular here and a lot more circular. But remember, you're looking at when they talk about the star, like millions and millions of miles, billions and billions of miles away. It's a tiny reflection, right? So if you could sort of zoom in, you can see the irregularity. Let me zoom in. You can see aspects of it, but you're looking at something that's so small, a very tiny reflection